Hey, good morning, everybody. Or good evening, I should say.
Welcome to Kensho Quest. I'm Heidi.
I'm George.
Here on Kensho Quest, we share tips to help you plan an amazing trip to Japan. Want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
We're going to start off with some tips, and then after that, we'll open it up to a live Q&A. If you do have a question, you can put it in the chat box and start with a capital Q so that we know it's a question. We're going to start off with some slides.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Databetic, for joining us and being one of our absolute super fans.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And everyone, thank you for joining us this morning or again this evening, wherever you are in the world. All right, so we are going to start with preparing for a safe trip to Japan. The first thing we like to do is install emergency apps, and our number one go-to is the NHK World app. You can get this on both the App Store, on the Apple App Store, and also from the Google App Store. And once you download it, the really important thing you want to do is make sure that you have notifications turned on. Otherwise, the app's kind of useless. So go in, and up on the top left corner, there is a little cogwheel. Just click on that and scroll down, and you will see this thing here where it says earthquake. It should say 5, lower and above by default. If not, I would set it to this, because this is anything from 5 on up is an earthquake that you should be concerned about. And below that, there are some other settings that you can turn on as well. I just leave these all on because it's actually a lot of really interesting information to know, and especially like, if there's a tsunami, that's a good one to know too. Emergency weathers, that's also really good. And then also within the app at the top, you can also see a lot of other information up there as well. So just check in there. Sometimes if you are concerned about any weather conditions or if trains might be down, there's a lot of good information. Just to check out the app on that.
We've gotten emergency alerts a lot while we're in Japan for things like tsunami warnings.
A lot, yes. All right, the next app you might want to install is the Safety Tips app for Japan. It is a little buggy, but it is still really good, because if you look over here at this image here, you can see that there's a lot of good information in here, such as earthquake information, weather information, and this is throughout Japan. So it's not just localized into one area. And so this is really good. And when you go in, when you first install the app, you can set your location, what country you're from, and you should do that, because then what it's going to do is under here where it says the SOS emergency contacts, it's going to list your embassy or consulate by default. So if you ever need to contact them, then that information will be in here already, which is really nice. So I highly recommend this app, even though, yeah, it's still buggy. It does have a lot of, these icons here have a lot of good information in them that could come in handy. Another alternative app is the Nerve Disaster Prevention app. This has been gaining a lot of notoriety lately. I haven't really tested it out fully, and so I would recommend checking both out and see which one you like better. But personally for me, I still would prefer the Safety Tips app versus the Nerve one. Next.
A next tip is for cash and financial safety. It's always a good idea in Japan to carry some cash or yen on you, but especially in case there were an emergency situation, you might want to make sure you always have a minimum of about 10,000 to 20,000 yen on you, just in case if there was, say, a power outage, the ATMs might stop functioning and payment systems for credit card payments might go down. So it always is good to have some emergency cash. Next step is travel insurance. So very first step, check whether or not your regular health insurance covers you while you're traveling abroad. And if it doesn't, and even if it does, you might want to get travel health insurance to have more of a broader coverage. So things like if a medical emergency were to arise while you're traveling, we personally use Safety Wing travel insurance, and it's geared towards nomads who travel long term, but you also can select your exact travel dates to get a quote. So for example, the essential plan for a 2-week trip for someone aged 10 to 39 years old would be $33. We're a little bit older age bracket. We pay a bit more than that.
It's still an excellent price.
So one thing that I used to always look for when I was choosing travel medical insurance is medical evacuation. So I was thinking of those situations where we're somewhere kind of remote and there wasn't good enough hospital that they would fly us to the nearest city with a better hospital. But one thing that I never thought much of in years ago in our travels was more of a political evacuation clause. And one thing that Safety Wing is really great on, and we have actually taken advantage of, is political evacuation. So for instance, on the screen here, we have about evacuation from local unrest. While you're traveling, if a travel warning is issued for the area you're located, the cost of evacuation by the most economical means possible to either your home country, a safe country that is nearby, or a location that is otherwise reasonable, such as you have family members there, is covered. So for instance, in the past when COVID hit, Safety Wing covered the cost of our plane tickets to fly home. And you can see some other travel related benefits on there as well. So there's both medical angle to look for, if you were hospitalized, broke a leg, would it cover you? And then there's also the more trip related ones, like if your trip was canceled or interrupted.
Yeah, so I would check your home medical insurance, see what it covers, if it covers at all when you're traveling abroad, and then check to see if they have coverage like this, because I think this is really hard to beat for the cost. So especially in these crazy times, you just never know if you might need something like this. And we never thought we would ever need it, and we've actually used it. So
we've included our affiliate link for Safety Wing below. We do earn a commission if you were to go through that link, and it's what we use.
All right, and then next I want to talk about is credit card benefits. Credit cards like the Chase Sapphire Preferred and Reserve, they have excellent trip delay benefits and miles earning potential. We highly recommend one of these cards. We use them all the time, and it saves us a lot of money because every time we use our credit card for everything. So because of that, we accrue miles every time we spend any money, and because of that, almost every single year, even for our family of 5, we earn enough miles or points that we can fly to Japan round trip for free by using our miles. But what's really great also is if your flight is delayed or something like that, they will reimburse you depending on how long you've been at the airport. With the Preferred, it's 12 hours. Yeah, that's a really long time, but if that kicks in, then you get a pretty decent amount of money to get a hotel, to be fed and things like that. With the Reserve, it's only 6 hours, so that's a big difference. So, take that into consideration. Yes, the Reserve is a lot more expensive card. But one thing to be aware of is that I just checked this, is that both Chase and Amex, they will not cover you if it is anything war related. So if you've planned your trip, and even though if you used your card to pay for your trip, they will not cover any type of cancellation or interruptions that's anything related to war. So take that into consideration again, and I honestly, I don't know if any credit card will protect you with that. This is where Safety Wing is definitely a good one to have for that.
Always read the full details and policy yourself so you know exactly what is or is not covered.
Right. All right, communication. Consider getting an eSIM or SIM with a Japanese phone number. Only mobile makes this easy for travelers on short trips. You can make international calls and texts. So if you receive an international call or text using a mobile, that's MOBAL, they are free. If you need to make the calls yourself, there is a fee. It's pretty low. We have a link to their website where you can check out the cost on that. But yeah, if you're concerned about any type of safety reasons, it's really good to have a phone number. We always get a SIM with a phone number that's on Heidi's phone, and I get a separate one as well. This way, we're kind of covered. We just want to make sure that if we need to make a call, because in the worst case scenario, let's say all the infrastructure is down, the one thing that might survive over, let's say, actual internet calling is the landlines are much more robust. So, and if you don't do that, the one good thing is that there are still payphones in Japan. Yes, they are disappearing. Look for these green phones. They are free to use in an emergency. Some of them have a little red button. If they have the red button, you'll press the red button first before making an emergency call. And for any type of medical emergency, including fires, you want to just dial 119. And if you need to call the police, dial 110. And in the event that there is an emergency, there will be free public Wi-Fi. Again, this is if the infrastructure is working. And just look for the SSID, or the ID when you're looking for a Wi-Fi. Look for 50 Japan, 50 Japan, and then you should be able to connect with no password. All right, medication. This is a really tough one, and because of that, I'm just going to refer you to our video. However, do take some things in consideration. A lot of things that might be legal in your country are illegal in Japan. So any type of narcotic, they're just illegal. There's no way you can ever import them to Japan. So, and certain drugs such as Adderall, they're also illegal. A lot of antidepressants are illegal. So if you are unsure of what you think you can or cannot bring, I highly recommend you contact this email here, yakan@mhlw.go.jp. List the name of your medicine, the drug's active ingredients, dose and quantity, and they will get back to you. They are very, very responsive. So as soon as you email them, you'll get an auto response, and it'll tell you like what you should have sent them. So, and if you didn't send it to them, then resend it to them again. And they also tell you like if they don't respond within 3 days, write them again, and you might even want to try with a different email address if it doesn't go through, because they said they get a lot of spam as well. So yeah, if you don't get a response, just write them again. Every time I've done that, I've always gotten a response except one time, and then I did exactly what they said, write them again, and then they wrote me back right away. So very, very good service.
Please start with that video because it has a lot of details about like the quantity of medications you can bring. And if you're in Japan and you get something like a cold and you need to get medicine, you can go to a pharmacy. Google Translate really helps, either using the lens to translate the packages, or what's the app you use?
Oh yes, you know, there's an app called Payke. It's Payke. I highly recommend you install that app, because what you do is you take it and you scan the barcode on the back, and I would say 8 out of 10 times it knows it and it will translate it instantly. So it's really fantastic.
So it'll bring up what the medication's for and the dosage, and that can do better sometimes than just Google Translate attempting to translate the text on the box. And then also, if you need to speak to a pharmacist, we've often found ones who spoke English well enough to assist us, but you could use Google Translate in that situation as well if you needed to.
Yeah, I recommend you just go up to the counter and talk to them. Even if you don't know any Japanese, just translate it on your phone, because a lot of times it's just really hard to find what you're looking in the store, or they may not even have it in the aisles and it's behind the counter.
Or also sometimes I'll just pull up a picture of the medication that I'm familiar with on my phone and then show them, and then they can see what the active ingredient is and find the equivalent. We've luckily only had to actually go to like a clinic or a hospital one time on our Japan travels, and it was really easy because our hotel reception called ahead, found a nearby clinic with or hospital, I guess, hospital with an English-speaking doctor, booked us in our appointment, arranged the taxi, giving the taxi driver the address to the hospital. So it was all really smooth. Just get in your taxi.
Door-to-door service.
They were expecting us as soon as we arrived, and the cost was reasonable.
They're very reasonable. Yeah, and this was completely out of pocket. So yeah, very reasonable. Again, like what Heidi said, is hotels in general in Japan, the service is fantastic. If you are sick and you need to go to the hospital, first thing, if you're at your hotel, go see your concierge or front desk. Okay, documents.
Okay, so documents. So of course you're going to want to bring all your important travel documents with you, but also make physical copies of things such as your passport, your insurance, and maybe any crucial prescriptions as well. And then what we do is we have an important documents folder that's both water and fireproof, but at least something like a plastic folder that's waterproof. You don't want the rain damaging your documents. And then also make digital copies to store in the cloud. So since we're traveling a lot, we make sure we have backed up things like our passports and any other information we might need to gain access to. So especially if you were to lose your passport, but you had a photocopy that has all the information, including your passport number on it, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to replace that. Then also share your itinerary with somebody back home. So your emergency contact, I would give them both your full itinerary and also your passport, a copy of your passport, because if they were to have to say contact your embassy on your behalf, they're going to need to know information like your passport number. Also, U.S. citizens can register for STEP, which is the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. You let them know, which countries you're visiting, on which dates, and then if any issue were to break out in that country while you're there, you'll receive an email alerting you to it. Also, know the location and phone number of your embassy or consulate. Again, you can find that within the Safety Tips app, and I also just have a printed copy of that information that I keep in our important documents folder.
Also on the Safety Tips app, you can see this medical institutions icon. This is actually pretty good too. I was checking this out, and it lists a ton of either clinics or hospitals located in all the cities around Japan. So really good to have if you need help.
Next up is an emergency kit. If you watched any of my packing videos, the items included here are things that I would typically have in my day bag anyways, so I'd be carrying them around with me even if I didn't know an emergency was going to occur. So something like a very simple first aid kit with basic medications, maybe things for diarrhea, food poisoning, pain relief, those kind of basics, we like cough drops and earplugs. Also, if you have any, prescription medication that you need to have, a power bank because my phone is my lifeline. So if the power were to drain on my phone, I want a way to recharge it. I personally always have like a whistle and a flashlight on my purse or day bag. That's just something I've been doing ever since I was a kid. And then other additional items you might want to have water on you, snacks, wet wipes, tissues, a small towel. I mean, we've even had small issues like a kid getting sick at a train station and having to really quickly clean up the mess. So things like a plastic bag and wet wipes are actually very valuable to have.
All right, and please follow warnings. They could be all kinds of warnings. Even if you can't read it, I think it's obvious that this says beware of kuma bears, and this is no joke. Especially the last couple of years, there's been a huge increase in bear sightings and even bear encounters. So as spring is approaching us and summer and even into the fall, there have been an awful lot of bear sightings. So we recommend that you carry either a bear bell or that in a combination. If you are going to be out in the wilderness, if you're going to be doing hiking into the deep wilderness, definitely get some bear spray. That's becoming more and more easily accessible within Japan. You can even rent it. So if you are plan to do that, I highly recommend that you try to do that as soon as possible, or look into when you can rent it. And you can just look up the typical outdoor stores in Japan. One of them is
Montbell.
Montbell, yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to bring bear spray on an airplane. That's probably not allowed.
Yeah. Here's another one that just happened a couple of days ago, and this just, I'm just like, I mean, what are you thinking? So Mount Fuji is only open for climbing, I think 2 months a year. I think from the 1st of July till the 1st of September. That's it. The rest of the time, if you go up there, you're on your own. So, I don't know what people are doing hiking Mount Fuji in the middle of wintertime. And so 2 people fell into a crater there a couple days ago. Luckily that they were rescued. So please watch, follow the warning signs and stuff so you can stay safe out there. And finally, I just want you to know, if you don't know already, that Japan is extremely safe, and the chance of you ever getting pickpocketed or anything like that is almost zero. I mean, Heidi talks about, if you go to like a local mall and stuff, people reserve their tables by leaving their cell phones and then walking away. So, it's really safe. And just this past year, they broke the record for the amount of money that was returned in Tokyo alone. 4.5 billion yen was lost, which is equal to about $29 million US right now. And this is mostly wallets that people found and just returned to the police. So if you lose your wallet, or you lose anything for that matter, very near usually train stations and also sometimes markets and things like that, look for something that says Koban. That's Koban. That is a police box, and you can report it right there. And you might get lucky, and if that was near where you think you lost it, they might even have it right there. So look for the Koban. If you can't, you can always find a police station and file a report. This even happened to our son. Our son lost his wallet a couple of years ago, and somebody picked it up and returned it. And we couldn't go back to the region for a couple of months, but they held onto it for us. And then we went back there. It had everything in it. So
they'll ask you what the contents is to identify and make sure it's yours. So also remember what you had in your wallet.
All right. So one more thing I just wanted to pitch real quick is that we're going to start a newsletter. We've been trying to do this for years, actually, but we just never get around to it. So if you want to sign up for our newsletter, we would love to have you on board. We'll never spam you. We will only mail you probably once a month or maybe twice at the most if we ever have any really important information to share with you. So yeah, there's a link to it right there. Check it out. We'd love to have you join us.
That way you can stay up to date for the latest happenings in Japan.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with the Q&A. If you have a question, please start it with a Q. Otherwise, we might skip over it since it gets mixed up a lot sometimes. All right, here. All right, what did I do?
I have seen a few different questions come in regarding specifically the medications. So for that, really, please start by watching the video that he prepared, because that's going to really lay it out better than we can tell you just by memory. And we really don't trust any third party for getting information. You want to go directly to the source, contacting the Ministry of Health to make sure you're getting the most accurate information.
And the main reason why is that everybody's case is different. Even if someone has the same exact medication as you, the dosage might be different. You might be bringing different amounts and stuff like that. So you always want to make sure of that. All right. I'm looking for questions.
Is this one? Again, if you can, start your question with a Q just to make it easier for us to find.
Hi, Ginkgo Seed. We are seniors. Is it a good idea to book sightseeing taxis to get a few attractions and shopping areas in Tokyo? Where can we find them?
That's something we haven't personally used within Tokyo. I'm guessing you're talking about like a taxi that'll take you around all day. We often just use something like the Go app on our phone to hail a taxi if we happen to need one, if we can't just flag one down.
Yeah. They are starting to pop up now on Klook. We use Klook all the time. They're very reputable, so you might want to check out if you are looking for specific sightseeing ones there. Sometimes I do see them around town, but like Heidi said, it might even be just more economical to just hail a taxi of like when you need one. Like Heidi said, also we do use the Go app. I highly recommend that you install the Go app unless you already have Uber installed, but Uber is not nationwide, whereas Go pretty much is. So that is a good way to go. But yeah, it's a really good way to get areas really quickly, is just by taking taxis.
For the Go app, you may need to receive one text message while you're in Japan to finalize the setup process on that.
And again, check out Klook. Klook should have some of those on there.
If you're going to Mount Fuji, Kawaguchiko, then an all-day like private taxi could be great for that. Is Safety Wing available? I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Safety Wing is available worldwide. There are, I think, only a handful of countries that they don't support. And unfortunately, even though they support Americans the least, I would say.
And you don't have to be in your home country when you sign up. So if you're on like a multi-country trip, you can sign up while you're already abroad.
All right, Ivy Joseli Antonio, 688. Good morning. Is it beneficial to purchase the 7-day Shinkansen pass if traveling from Tokyo to Osaka, Osaka to Hiroshima, Kobe, Kyoto, day trips, and back to Tokyo?
So this question is regarding the JR Pass or Whole Japan Rail Pass. You can do the calculations and add up what it would be with the pass and without. Very recently, we did a trip where we started in Tokyo, went down to Hiroshima, and then worked our way back, stopping off along the way at places like Osaka and Kyoto. And we would have saved a bit had we got the JR Pass, mostly because of using it not only on Shinkansen, but also to use it on local JR trains. However, we personally chose not to use the JR Pass because it doesn't cover the faster service on the Tokaido, which is the Nozomi Shinkansen, unless you pay even more, an additional charge above the cost of the pass. So what I really prioritized is a couple of those train trips were going to be about 1 hour faster if we were able to take the Nozomi versus taking something slower like the Hikari. So we opted just to pay for each Shinkansen ticket that we needed. And yes, maybe we spent slightly more, but we had more convenience that way to get places faster. Also because we traveled straight from Tokyo all the way to Hiroshima. Had we used the JR Pass, we would have had to transfer at Shinosaka Station, and I wanted to be able to just stay on one Shinkansen all the way there.
That was actually the main reason why we didn't get the JR Pass. So if you are going at a more leisurely pace and don't mind changing trains, then the JR Pass would be absolutely worth it for your route, and I would recommend it. And because the JR Pass does have a lot of benefits. You know, you can hop on and hop off anywhere at any time, which is super, super nice. All reservations are free as well.
It covers the Miyajima Ferry. That was something we originally had thought we were going to do.
Yeah, so definitely it is worth it for your route. You just have to weigh, like what Heidi was saying, you know, if you need to get somewhere really quick. But it doesn't sound like you're going to go directly from Tokyo to Hiroshima. So in that case, I think the JR Pass is a good bet. So in general, if you are going Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Hiroshima, the JR Pass covers it. And back to Tokyo, then it definitely covers it, yes.
If you're not doing Hiroshima, then you don't need it for the golden route of just Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka. It'd be cheaper just to buy the tickets. And we do have lots of videos on how to buy individual Shinkansen tickets.
Hi, Bobo Maximus, thank you so much for the super chat. If a Visa debit card is your only source of funds and Visa sometimes has problems in Japan, is a prepaid MasterCard a good alternative?
Yes, I would say so. And to clarify, it's normally if you're trying to make a payment on a Japanese website, our foreign credit cards often don't have the security layers that the website wants. So Visa debit cards often don't go through. MasterCard is a great alternative. Things like Ekinet to buy train tickets from JR East, maybe Universal Studios Japan, things like that when you're trying to purchase directly from the company. Sometimes a foreign visa doesn't work. So yes, I do think having a backup MasterCard is a great idea.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. In fact, even just on our last trip, both on SmartyX and Ekinet, this was just in February, multiple times our Visa card did not work, and our MasterCard saved the day. So it's definitely a good idea. Yeah.
And another option, if you don't have different networks, is purchasing tickets through Klook. So they often have a service charge and add a little bit to the price, but they will accept a variety of payments. So if you tried SmartyX, you tried Ekinet, it's just not working, you could always purchase your tickets on Klook instead.
Another alternative is you can look into something like Wise. So a lot of people are using Wise now, and Wise is very widely accepted in Japan. Both the digital form, like on your phone, or if you have the physical card.
And I want to clarify too, when you're paying in person, we've really not had a trouble with using the Visa in person for payments, I guess, except at like a train ticket machine. So
Right.
normally in person at stores, restaurants, the Visa works fine. It's more the online stuff.
All right, let's squeak. Any idea if you travel with insulin and syringes, do you have to declare if you are going for 10 days? This depends on the amount that you're carrying. So there is a certain limit that you can carry for 30 days when you're in Japan. So again, this is something that where you want to contact that email that we listed in there. It's at yakan at mhlsomething.go.jp. So please contact them. And that link, it's the link to that to our video that has all information is in the description. Just a reminder, everyone, try to put your questions with the queue so we can get to them faster. Hi, Belinle. I booked the room next to Sensoji Temple. I hired a private taxi guy to take my family to Shibuya Ginza in Shinjuku. What place kid would like? My son is 9 years old.
There's so much in those specific areas. Can you think of, there's a lot of shopping in Shibuya.
Even at Sensoji, not many people know this, but there's actually a little amusement park right behind it. So you can start with that. And also, there's even a playground. There's even a playground at Sensoji Temple. We were just talking about it today. It's kind of hidden, but there's actually a playground there too. Right, you just need to walk around. And in the Ginza area, there is a toy store. I can't think of the name for it right now. If I think of the name, I will drop it into the comments there. The Shinjuku area for kids, we take our kids mostly to the playground. There is a park called Chuo Park that is on the west side of Shinjuku Station. It's next to the government tower. So there's 2 government towers that has a free observation deck. I would take them there too. That's a great thing. And right next to that, there is a huge park that is great for everyone. And it's very family friendly with a massive play area that your child will just love. Your son will love it there. So all free stuff.
And that's the Metropolitan Government Building that has the free observation deck.
Right.
And if you're going in the springtime, we love to take our kids for picnics in the park. I like Shinjuku Gyoen. There's also Yoyogi Park. So that can be a nice outdoor activity. Let them get their energy out. Yeah.
And your son might also like going to the Samurai Museum in Shinjuku. They just opened a brand new one there. We featured it in one of our videos about Tokyo experiences recently. You might want to check that out too. So and that's covers these areas pretty good. Again, there are parks everywhere that have playgrounds that have like just a lot of fun stuff for kids all over Japan.
We try to break it up, balance it out. So if there's like a touristy thing that we want to do, and then, a playground break, some other touristy thing, so the kids don't get tired.
I just want to say thank you to Alamato SBR. Sorry for butchering name. Thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. All right, Polka Dots I2Y. What is the best way to see a doctor if you happen to get sick and you can't speak Japanese well?
So first he mentioned the app Which
Yes.
one? Japan
So the
Safety
Safety Tips app has a list of hospitals and clinics in there. That's a good way to do it because it also lists like some of them even list like which ones speak English. But the maybe the better way is like if you were staying at a hotel is go see your concierge or your front desk and tell them that you're sick. You can't speak Japanese. Can you help me?
So that's what we did, and the receptionist called ahead and booked our appointment with English-speaking doctor for us. It was all same day. It was all really quick.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Otherwise, you can even like if you walked into, let's say, a pharmacy or something like that and talked to the pharmacist, they'll be able to tell you like where you can go.
Pharmacists have been able to help us with the more
Many
minor
times.
issues.
Yeah.
A lot of times that way we didn't need to go see an actual doctor when our kids were slightly sick or injured.
Will flights to Japan be more expensive? They already are. We were trying to buy tickets last week and we waited, and now they're $500 more. So, and yeah, I don't know what's going on, right? It's a crazy world. So prices are going up. I don't know when they're coming back down. Hi, Dante19. Thank you so much. Love you guys. I am going to Japan in 2 weeks. I was just wondering how much buffer time I should take to book my Shinkansen from Tokyo to Osaka. We'll be there arriving at Narita. 2 weeks. That's prime time.
I'm not quite sure what your question was. How much buffer time I should book?
Yeah.
If you're asking about when you should book, like buy your tickets, buy them as soon as you can within that 30-day window. If you're wondering about how much time you need, like to be prepared to get on your Shinkansen, we always advise getting to the station quite early, like getting to Tokyo Station an hour early.
Yeah. So if this is your first time riding the Shinkansen and you are going to go from Tokyo Station, I recommend an hour and a half. A lot of people say, oh, that's too much time. But if this is your first time, hour and a half. And the reason why is it might take you a while to find it. So at Tokyo Station, you want to enter the Yaesu entrance, Yaesu, which is the front. If you take a taxi there, that's the best way to get there. You tell them you're going, in fact, they'll ask you, Shinkansen? You say yes, and they'll drop you right in front. Otherwise, if you take a local train, you're going to end up in the back part of the station, and it's quite navigating to get to where the Shinkansen are located. They're located on the ground floor. So take that time into consideration. Then once you get up to the platform, it could be another 10-minute walk because the Shinkansen trains are extremely long and you have to find your right place. But one more thing too regarding that is if you're running late and you know that's your train, just get on. It doesn't matter. Just get on it. If you see an open door, just get on. It's better to get on your train than miss it. And then you can just walk to your car afterwards. Regarding when you should buy your ticket.
Oh, sorry. They're saying we'll be arriving at Narita. So is the question you're arriving at Narita Airport and trying to get on the Shinkansen that day? And how much time you need to get from Narita to Tokyo?
Well, let's just answer that too. So anyways, since you were going in peak season, if you can book a month in advance, reserve it, I would do that just because you're going to be traveling peak season. We just rode the train a couple of weeks ago and they were already extremely crowded going in that direction. And as far as, no.
So are you asking, you arrive at Narita and you're trying to get on the Shinkansen that day, how much time would you need? Do you know what the answer to that would be?
So if you want to know going from Narita to Tokyo Station to get there, that's going to take an hour and a half minimum, okay? Because you got to take the train. And when you arrive, if you're taking the Narita Express, you're going to arrive in the 5th level below the ground. So you got to make your way up to the top and then get to the Shinkansen area. So that would be at least another half an hour in that. So take these, you want buffer to get on the train. The good thing is if you miss your train, you can get on the next one. The only problem with that is if you missed your train and you reserved your train, you lost your reservation. It means you'd have to ride in non-reserve.
So like 3-4 hours from airport to Shinkansen?
Yeah, I would 3 hours minimum if that's your first time. Yeah. All right. Hi, Nippon Kuma. Thank you so much for the super chat. Is Tokyo Tower worth it in 2026 considering the other free observation decks and paid options like Skytree or Shibuya Sky?
I personally like Tokyo Tower because it's lower to the ground so you can really see things, whereas some people have the opposite opinion. They like something like Skytree, which is really high up, so you get a lot more expansive of a view. You definitely don't need to do them all. In our Ultimate 7-Day Tokyo itinerary, we showed all the different towers. Oh, except maybe we didn't show the Metropolitan Government one. But just to give you an idea of what they're like, I mean, go for the free one if you want. The Metropolitan Government building is a great option.
It's a good tower. And then if you want to try something totally different, like if you're going in the springtime, or when the weather might be good, I actually really like the Landmark Tower in Yokohama. That's something considered. It's really cheap as well, too.
And then he's been to Shibuya Sky. I'm afraid of heights, so I skipped that one. Do you think it's worth it?
They're all really good. They're all really good, and they're all really different. So Skytree is like the tallest one. It's really good because you can see so far away, but it is also farther away from town. Shibuya Sky is completely different. It has a really big top-level observation deck that's outside. That's what makes it special. And if you come there at night, they serve drinks and stuff like that. So that could be, you know, a lot of fun too if you're into that. But it gets extremely crowded. I mean, just crazy crowded. So because of that, to me, I rule it out. And I'm with Heidi. We really like Tokyo Tower. Less crowded. In fact, almost no crowds there. And a really nice view, closer to the ground. You can see the bay and stuff, which is really nice too. So yeah, we like it. We like it.
Also, I might just pick based upon what neighborhood you're going to be in. So if you're looking at your activities, I like to always make my itinerary based around 1 to 2 neighborhoods per day. So if you're in a certain neighborhood, maybe just choose the one that's in that neighborhood.
Hi, the Tens Bum. Thank you so much for the super chat. Flying into Osaka, KIX, is there a direct train line to Osaka Castle? So there is no direct line to Osaka Castle, but what you might, you have a couple of options. You can take the Haruka Express. I would take the Haruka Express probably, yes. I would take that to maybe to Osaka Station, and then from there I would take just a local train directly to the castle. I would have to look that up. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you exactly what I would do.
Should we go
Yeah,
back
you wanna go ahead and
just click back to
yeah.
all? Somebody's laughing at our fireproof important documents folder. For those who haven't been here with us for years and years, we're digital nomads.
Yeah.
We left on our current trip 4 years ago. So I have important documents that I've been carrying with me around the world. It's not just vacation for us. Okay, from Maya, question, I'm trying to book an experience on Klook with my Tokyo attraction pass, but the attraction that I'm booking isn't open on Klook, but it is on the official website. Any thoughts about this? Sorry, we have not yet used the Tokyo attraction pass, so I'm not quite sure exactly how that works. I don't know once you've bought the pass where you're supposed to do the bookings. It might not be through Klook.
You usually, yeah. I think what you're given, I mean, they're all a little different, but you're usually given a voucher. And then once you've used them, then it's all done via the app usually. And so it keeps track of which ones you've been to already.
Maybe go back to the Klook listing and just see if there's any more clear instructions there. But sorry about that.
Okay, just really quickly, I just want to answer that question regarding which train from Kansai Airport to Osaka Castle. So yes, take the Haruka Express, but this depends on the time of day. You would get off at Tennoji Station. From Tennoji Station, you get on the Osaka Loop Line. So Haruka Express to Tennoji Station. Tennoji, you take the Osaka Loop Line, which loops around in a circle in Osaka, and get off at Morinomiya Station. Morinomiya Station. And you gotta
walk 25 minutes.
Yeah, unfortunately, so it's still the fastest route.
Okay.
Our October trip ends in Fukuoka in early October. Can you recommend a side trip that'll end in Osaka? We have not scheduled our return flight, so we can take a few days.
So something between
That'll end in Fukuoka
and going to Osaka?
So it really depends on what you like to do, but if you want to do some things that most tourists don't do, like you can go to Naoshima Island. We really like Naoshima Island, so it's when you're working your way back up from Fukuoka, or even the other way around, it's near Okayama. You would take a side trip down south towards the islands near Shikoku, actually. And there is an island called Naoshima Island that's very artsy, and if you are into
Yayoi Kusama.
Yayoi Kusama. She makes these pumpkins, that polka dot pumpkins and stuff like that. They have one on a pier that's really, really famous. And the entire island, you can walk around it like in 3 hours, and there's just art everywhere. So it's a really fun day trip. It's really hard to spend the night there because it gets booked up. But yeah, we loved it doing that for we spent just a day, right? Yeah,
A day.
yeah, just a day there.
You can rent bicycles if you want to go faster.
That's a good way.
We walked around the island in one day.
You can rent bicycles too, so it's a really good way to get around there. Another option in that same area is Kurashiki, Kurashiki. Kurashiki is a small town in the Okayama area, also just a short trip from Okayama, and they have like this old Bizen neighborhood, so it's like more Edo period style as well. It's just a nice...
Also near there, they make denim jeans. So if you want to visit like the Betty Smith factory and see them dyeing the material with indigo and get custom-made jeans, it's near Kurashiki as well.
Yes, yeah. There's just a lot of little hidden gems in the area. And if you go farther up towards Osaka, there's an island called Awaji Island. And if you were into Hello Kitty or if you were into Naruto, things like that, they have amusement parks there that have this many tourists there. Seriously, there's like nobody there, and it's
really nice.
Really nice.
Our kids and me, we loved Awaji Island. There's a lot of little islands in Japan that the masses of tourists don't tend to go to. Okay, want to pull that one up?
Which one? This one?
Yeah. Specifically on our topic of, being prepared, somebody added for emergency kit essential a real compass, which is a great idea. Cell phones aren't always going to work. My son has one of those. I should probably add one to my kit as well. Again, if you're asking questions about which medications are allowed, please first refer back to our video and then contact the email address.
Yeah, the Yakan email address, please. Yeah, a lot of things are allowed, so please just ask them. Just send the email. Again, please don't take anybody's word for it without asking yourself, because you don't want to be wrong in this case. It's really the safest thing, and if you email Yakan, they're very, very responsive. Hi, Matthew. Medaxian 1296. How reliable are taxis? Extremely, extremely reliable. Very good, very professional. We've maybe only had one bad experience in all of our 20 plus years riding taxis in Japan. And even that was minor, I would say.
I see earlier you said that you're going to be taking taxis to your dinner reservations. That should be fine either if you arrange it through your hotel to have a taxi pick you up at a certain time. Maybe there's just a queue of taxis out front of your hotel, or we use the Go app when we want to make sure that we can hail a taxi.
But if you're in a busy part of town, no problem. Just easy to hail a taxi, no problem.
There could be traffic, so depending on what time, if it's rush hour, you might want to consider that taxis would run into traffic that a train wouldn't run into. I was planning on packing super light. Any idea how easy it is to buy any plus size clothing extra large? So I've heard conflicting things about whether Uniqlo covers size extra large. Some people say that some of the stores do, some of the stores don't. Japan, a lot of the main clothing stores are just like a one size, and it's what US would be more like a small to medium. And then when you get up into those like extra large or above that, there's sometimes like separate dedicated stores for those sizes. But I think Uniqlo should be at least a safe bet, because they're usually a good store to go to for anything that's really seasonal, like heat tech base layers for the winter or airism for hot weather in the summer. But I can't guarantee that every single store will have the size.
Right. So if you're going to go to a Uniqlo, I would look for one of the larger ones. They have like these... They're like
Ginza.
super Uniqlo.
Ginza has the flagship Uniqlo. It's multiple floors, and also Muji as well. That's one of our favorite stores. So those are
I think Muji is also another good option. I've been seeing a lot of more larger size clothes in Muji recently.
And you definitely can pack light. I have a video all about how to wash laundry while you're traveling in Japan. Some people have said they got by with 3 shirts and 2 bottoms. And personally, I pack 4 outfits per family member, because the washing machines in Japan are really small. So it works out to wash laundry every few days. And I do have an upcoming video that I've been prepping if you're looking for like the super ultra lightweight packing for Japan. Plus I have an old video on how to pack in a 28-liter backpack as well. That might be some ideas. But definitely we can get by with like only 4 outfits, and we'll go to Japan for anywhere from 1 to 3 months at a time.
I just lost my place. Sorry.
Okay,
I was just over here. Hello, Le Kao Hai Duke. Sorry, I'm butchering your name. I know. I'm sorry. We will travel to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto with 3 days in Okinawa. Any tips for Okinawa?
I'll be working on an Okinawa travel guide. You haven't said exactly when you're going. It
Matters.
gets peak time like around July, but unfortunately that peak time also corresponds with typhoon season. So depending on when you're going, you may get a lot of rain. We experienced the most rain I've ever experienced in my life when we were in Okinawa. If you just have 3 days, a lot of people do a day in Naha, maybe one day taking a side trip to a little island. We weren't able to do that yet because of the rain, but next trip we're hoping to. And then we actually really love the Motobu area. That's a peninsula that has more like resorts for relaxing on the beach. But with 3 days, I'm not sure how much you'll be able to fit in. We did like an all-day taxi where we basically had the taxi driver could take us anywhere that we wanted to on the island. So that was a great way to see things that are a bit farther out from Naha.
Yeah, I highly recommend that actually. It is like $200 to do an all-day trip, but you think about it, that's 8 hours. They're going to take you all the way to the tip of the island or wherever you want to go for that time. So yeah, highly worth it. If you have 3 days, that's what I would do for one of the days. Hi, captivated reader. What are the best off-the-beaten places in Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and Hiroshima? Ooh.
We're going to have to make a video on this at some point because it's hard sometimes just off the top of our head. In Tokyo, we like the neighborhood Koromae, which is really near Asakusa, and I just like walking around in that whole area. So Asakusa Soji Temple, Koromae to get really good hot chocolate or coffee, and then I like to walk over to Tokyo Tower from there as well.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Higashi Murayama, which is a city on the west side of Tokyo. They're trying to become a tourist hub, and I can see why. So there's just a lot of little things to do there. We'll be having more videos about things that you can do in the Higashi Murayama area, such as calligraphy, ikebana, just a lot of,
Strawberry picking
experiences that I think people would be really interested in. In Osaka,
there's a place called Minoo Falls, which is really nice for like a day hike. We went in the fall and it was absolutely beautiful. I haven't been in the springtime there. I personally love walking around the grounds of Osaka Castle. Yeah. It's not so much for the castle itself, but just the grounds is a really nice area.
Yeah, and also towards Minoo Falls, there is the Osaka, I think, Memorial. Actually, not sure.
Oh, is it the Expo Park?
Expo Park. It's called Expo Park.
So
really,
when
really good.
Expo 76
really.
or something was there?
Or from 1950s maybe?
I don't even remember.
I don't know, a long time ago, yeah.
But it was the Expo Park, and now it's just a huge park.
Kyoto, it's so overrun. I mean, but we highly, highly recommend that you visit Tenryuji, which is a temple next to Arashiyama. So everybody goes to Arashiyama, but most people don't go to Tenryuji. It is, in our opinion, the best temple in all of Kyoto. Hiroshima, we haven't spent enough time in Hiroshima. We do really like Miyajima. If you go to Miyajima Island, make sure that you do some trekking up in the hills because that's where you're going to see less people. And there's just some really cool temples and shrines way up at the top.
We normally go to the basics like Peace Memorial Park.
Yeah. Which everybody should visit for sure. All right. G Serrano 808, aloha. Landing in Haneda at 5 p.m. How long can customs and immigration take? I will be using the Visit Japan web prior to trip.
5 p.m. is like a busy time to land. A lot of times there'll be a lot of people there. It's really seasonal too. So a lot of our trips we've gotten through immigration very fast, like 45 minutes. But last spring, like when our relatives were flying in, it was taking a really long time. So if they were arriving around that time in the evening during peak cherry blossom season, was it like 1-2 hours people were taking?
Some people it was taking 2 hours, yes. This was last year at cherry blossom season time.
So it really depends on the time of year. If it's 5 p.m. cherry blossom season, it could be up to 2 hours. If it's like a less crowded time of year, it could be through in 45 minutes. We also sometimes get the priority lane since we have young children, so that helps get us through quicker.
Yeah, but they've claimed that they've made some major improvements, and I definitely saw it the last time we went through immigration at Haneda in January. We were through immigration in like 15 was even with a bathroom break. It was ridiculous. And then because we were through there so fast that we had to wait for our luggage for like 40 minutes. So it depends. Definitely do visit Japan Web. It will definitely help you. I would plan between an hour and an hour and a half, but if it's cherry blossom season, worst case, 2 hours. What do you all use for motion sickness?
I stock up on wait, what is it called? No.
Dramamine?
Dramamine when we're in the US, but mostly my son gets it a lot, like on buses. So I also have those C-bands for my kids where it pushes on the wrist pressure point. So he'll typically wear those, take medication, and then sometimes also just making sure to eat and drink before getting on something like a long distance bus really makes a difference. And sometimes having something like mints or Mentos or gum to chew on while on something like a bus can help as well. It's mostly one of our kids that buses and long taxi rides gets to him. The trains are not as bad.
Yeah, so if you are a motion sickness person, then avoid the buses. Avoid buses as much as possible, especially like in the Hakone area.
Where it's like just back and forth through the mountains, really windy.
Yeah.
Dramamine, is that what?
Yeah, Dramamine. Yeah. All right. Hi, Coster Noct. Just returned from a visit to Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, and Kensho Quest helped me make it wonderful. Yay. One snag, however. The tickets we bought at Kyoto Station to Himeji were indecipherable.
Huh. Sorry about that. Like they didn't print out. If you ever have any issue with, I'm guessing this was a train ticket, please see the station staff. They can usually help out with that, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're curious
whatever
to know
happened with that. Maybe
what happened?
A printing error or something?
Right, yeah.
Oh, or was it all just in Japanese? That's also a possibility.
Yeah. Hi, Ezobera. How do I know if I can use Suica card on which train?
So most local transportation in major cities like Tokyo, so if you're just taking a subway, a metro, a local train to get within the city, that will usually be by Suica or other IC card, and it'll also work in other major cities like Osaka. Only if you get out in the really remote areas, there might be signage saying that IC cards are not accepted. And then when you get into something like a JR Limited Express train, so you're trying to go on a really fast train that barely ever stops and you're going to like a whole nother city, those ones often require a Limited Express surcharge. So you're going to need more than just a Suica card. And definitely for a Shinkansen, you're going to need to actually purchase a ticket and not rely on a Suica card. So whenever I say IC cards are for like local transportation, that's like just getting around, say within Tokyo, or maybe you're going over to Yokohama, the next city over, but it's like for short distances. When you start going far distances to another city is when you're going to need something more than a Suica.
And again, I just want to reiterate the fact that it's very widely accepted. It's mainly in places where it's very remote. And there'll be a sign usually, no Suica or no IC cards.
Like if you're getting up in Niseko skiing area in Hokkaido or something, if you're in a major city, you should be okay using a Suica or any of the 10 interoperable IC cards. Ooh.
Hi, Marcial Rivera. I have an allergy to shellfish. How prominent is shellfish in broths or things like takoyaki or okonomiyaki? So with broths, it could be very, very common, but when you go up to order, they usually tell you, like, you'll see in the menu, like, what type of broths they are. I mean, you know, it could be like a shoyu broth, which is like a soy sauce broth, or it could be like, you know, pork or something like that. And the seaweed ones, they're usually pretty clear about that. So you will usually be able to know which ones. As far as takoyaki or okonomiyaki, definitely on those. Also, like takoyaki, I can't think of any that would have shellfish broth in it. But okonomiyaki, certainly there can be as well. But with okonomiyaki, you can just choose a restaurant that doesn't serve that at all, because a lot of them won't at all.
Before your trip, I would go online and search Japanese allergy card, and then find one that you can print out that in Japanese says, I'm allergic to shellfish. Because if you have something like that and you can hand it over and show it to, you know, whoever you're trying to order from, and they can read it in Japanese, then that's the best way to approach, you know, communicating clearly that you can't eat it. They do take allergies seriously in Japan.
Just a quick shout out to mahalo from Bob and Joyce. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Thank you.
And hey, Maya Chapman 4133. Thank you again for the super chat. Following up on my last question, have you guys ever had issues with Klook not having booking open for an attraction, but the official website does? The pass requires Klook Reserve.
Yeah, sorry about that. Since Klook is a third-party platform, they might not have access to as many tickets as going directly through the attraction does. Sorry that we haven't used that specific pass before. So that's always an issue that, you know, some things might not be available.
Yeah, we're going to have to try that one out. Thank you, Maya, for bringing that to our attention. We're definitely going to check that out. But as far as...
and I'm not sure what the cancellation policy is. If that pass just is not working out for you, you might want to look back on the Klook listing and see if there's an option to cancel and just book directly instead.
Right, because one thing to take into consideration is if you have to end up canceling, especially with Klook, sometimes you're going to be charged a processing fee or something like that. And, you know, a lot of times it's not obviously going to be charged that, so just keep that in mind too. All right.
Can I use Go without a phone? I will only have eSIM. So at eSIM, typically most eSIMs only provide data, you know, Wi-Fi access. With the Go app, the thing is, it often won't let you completely set it up in your home country. It wants you to be physically in Japan, and then they send you one text message that you need just to activate the app initially. So you might need to do something like turn on roaming for your home carrier, or, you know, we get a mobile eSIM that has a phone number. You know, you might need some way that you can get just that one initial text message, and then after that, anything is done through the app.
Yeah. What I recommend you do is I would check with your home carrier, just like say, I just need to have one text sent to me in Japan. What's that going to cost me? You know, it's probably not going to be much. So I would just turn it on for that and then turn it right off after you've received your text verification. And then your Go app will work perfectly fine without a phone number.
You might receive a slew of text messages when you turn it on, though.
Yeah, and a follow-up to your other question is, can it be used with the chat platform? I don't think so. I think you need to have it on your phone.
Yeah, it has to send one text message just for the initial setup to an actual phone number.
Hi, Gloria Martin 8550. I am arriving to Narita this Saturday. Do I need the book-to-book express train ticket to Tokyo in advance?
You don't have to. I think a lot of times when people don't know how long it's going to take to get through immigration and customs and what time they're going to want to get on a train, that it can be easier just to buy the ticket when you arrive.
But one thing I would take into consideration is the time you're arriving. If you are arriving late, let's say around 9 or something like that, or 8 p.m., anything after then you might want to, because those last trains can sell out. And then also take into consideration that you have two different types of express trains you can take from Narita. You can take the Narita Express, the NEX, or you can take the Keisei Skyliner. Those are the two fastest routes to get into Tokyo. And they're both available, and they run till like 10 p.m., I think, out of Narita.
And it just depends which area of Tokyo you'll be staying in.
Correct.
Like if you're going to Ueno, then the Keisei Skyliner is good. And he has a video all on getting from the airport into Tokyo.
Hi, N-Scale Delight, sorry, N-Scale Delight, got it, I think. What is the correct etiquette for vlogging and documenting my vacation in Japan with pictures and video?
This is always something we struggle with. Yeah. We make videos, but it can be really hard to do that in a polite manner sometimes. So, you know, people will ask us, like, make a video of walking through a train station. We're like, we just can't do that because these stations are so packed with people. And as much as possible, it's polite to try not to be videoing or photographing strangers. And then also, if you go somewhere like you're all enjoying the cherry blossoms and people are taking their turns taking pictures, please be polite and take turns. Always the Japanese will watch out for if somebody else is taking a picture, go around them to not disturb the picture, you know, take a reasonable amount of time and then switch off and let somebody else have that good photo op. Whereas some foreign tourists just dominate and they're doing like a whole photo shoot. They'll have 20 or 30 people waiting behind them, not wanting to walk through the path because they're taking a picture. Then they walk a few steps and they do it again. Do not be the tourist where you're like blocking off the path, blocking off the prime location because you're taking so many photos. You know, just be respectful that everybody wants their turn And then with vlogging, one thing you might notice on our channel is we don't do a lot of vlogs where we're talking out in public, and just that is very hard to do in Japan because in general you should be polite and respectful when you're in like a crowded situation. So, you know, you're not really supposed to be talking on trains. If you're on the Shinkansen, definitely if you're in green class, you shouldn't really be talking out loud, recording yourself there. So a lot of times when we're filming, we just film the scene, the B-roll, and that's why we do talking somewhere else.
In a quieter
not
place.
Out in public.
Yeah, you can certainly do it. Just try to do it in a more quieter place. And some things like also is like at a torii gate, never stand in the middle of a torii gate. We can't stand those.
This is one of my
those influencers that keep standing in the front of the torii gate blocking everybody.
That's one of my pet peeves. A lot of people think of a torii gate as like a picture frame, but it is actually what's going from the everyday world into the spiritual world. And so a torii gate's a very important threshold. And so it's not something to be blocked or used as a photo frame.
But thank you so much for the question, because I mean that just shows already that you're going to be respectful. So you're going to be fine. You'll know what to do. Yeah, it's just like when you see the Japanese people trying to take a picture, you just wait your turn. That's all. And then as far as vlogging, you know, like Heidi said, move to the side or find a quieter spot to do it. But you certainly can do it, just in a quieter spot.
Yeah, I find like an empty corner of a park or something if I want to actually try to vlog.
Great question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, there's too many foreigners being disrespectful in this way. It's like kind of watch and see what the locals are doing, you know. And, you know, I've had Japanese people like ask me, please take my photo for me. And they're so happy when I help out. So that's another thing too, you know, helping if you see a solo traveler to take a photo for them is really nice.
All right. What is your opinion on Airbnb versus hotels? If I am returning to Tokyo every few months and staying roughly 15 to 20 days each visit.
So since we do a lot of trips and we stay a long time, when we stay 1 month, so like 30 days, then we'll typically do an Airbnb vacation rental and rent out, it's basically a whole house. And that's partly because if you do 30 days, Airbnb often gives a really good discount. So we'll spend the same amount renting a house for 30 days as we will staying in hotels for 7 days. So when we're doing faster paced traveling, we're traveling from city to city, you know, maybe doing a train trip, then we'll always opt for hotels for the services. And then also because Airbnb charges like cleaning fees and all these fees, that if you're only staying a night or two in an Airbnb, it's not always as economical.
Also in Japan with Airbnbs, you never know what you're going to get. That's the biggest issue.
We've stayed in so many over the years that we've run the gamut. Some are clean and well supplied. Some, like the pots and pans and stuff they provide, are not something we would want to cook with. We've had issues with just like dirty, smells, cigarette smoke. So hotel, you kind of know a basic level of what you're going to get in Japan, whereas Airbnb, you're not sure. If you extend that 20 days up to the full month to get the discount, it might be worth it.
Oh, look, we got another same question. This is fantastic. Thank you for asking these questions, you guys, about filming. Yeah. Just do as the locals do, really, and then you'll be fine.
Oh, and this is specifically about, is it possible for travelers to respectfully film traditional events like tea ceremonies in Kyoto just as a hobby? If yes, can we find places that allow it? So basically, you always do want to make sure you have permission before filming something like a tea ceremony. We were able to show a tea ceremony in our cultural experiences video because it was arranged in advance that it would be a private opportunity and we had permission to film. Generally, if you just go to one and it's like a group setting, then they usually don't allow filming. They might have specific times when they say it's okay to take a photo now. Recently, I was at a park for a plum blossom festival, and they had an outside tea ceremony going on, and I was even like not quite sure. I'm like, it's outside, it's in public. I'm guessing that's okay that we film, take photos, but at the same time, I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to be. So often look around and see, you know, what are the other locals doing, and it is best like anytime that you're going to be filming someone and actually showing their face in it, to ask permission before you do.
So if you want to film a tea ceremony, the best way is to ask for a private one. It will cost you a little more.
A private one, and ask specifically in advance if filming will be okay.
Correct, yeah. So we've done this twice now. We also did one in Uji. The Uji one wasn't the best experience, but we were able to get it private as well, and we were able to film. So we just contacted them in advance and says, hey, can we film? And they're all yes, but you need to reserve the whole place, which was fine too.
For Japanese etiquette, you never want to put somebody on the spot right there and then. So showing up and being like, can I film? It puts them in this awkward situation. So anything that you can contact in advance and get that permission ahead of time. Sometimes we've been given permission. Sometimes they've been like, no, there's other people. We don't want you to film.
Do you guys have any food recommendations in the Fuji Kawaguchiko area? My fiance and I are staying one night to have a better chance of seeing Fuji. He can't eat fish.
There's these traditional types of noodles, and the name is blanking. Noodles in the soup?
Yeah, I can't think of it either. There's going to be plenty of food options there, even if you ordered a kaiseki dinner, which I highly recommend. Usually when you order a kaiseki dinner, let's say if you're going to stay at a ryokan or something like that, you can tell them your allergies ahead of time, and they will make, most of them will what am I trying to say?
Prepare it.
Yeah.
In accordance with your allergies. Right. But again, that's something like if you want to do like a ryokan, a private, traditional inn, in the booking process, you say what the food allergies are, and they'll normally ask so that they can make sure. And those noodles are called hoto noodles, Hoto. That's a local specialty in Kawaguchiko. And there are some different restaurants like around the edge of Lake Kawaguchiko that offer that if you want to try hoto noodles. But
I highly recommend a ryokan and getting a kaiseki dinner then. Yeah, that would be just a fantastic experience for you as well. And then I'm just mumbling right now.
And it might have an onsen, like a hot spring bath as well. Just look for what the options are.
IKH Crazy 2112, does the Capital One Discover card work in Japan? I've read mixed responses since the company switched from MasterCard. Oh, I didn't know that it switched. We don't actually have the Capital One Discover card, but we've used the Discover card in Japan without any issues in the past. So
if anybody else in the live has that one,
sorry, we don't know the answer for that right now, as things may have changed.
Oh, is this the Toy Story you were saying?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Dadabetic. He's right. That's the toy store I was mentioning earlier. Akuhinkan. Yeah, fantastic place in Ginza. Great place to take your kids. Or kids like us, too. Go up to the top floor.
Oh, interesting. The next one. So, Captivated Reader is asking, are temple stays worth it? Can you recommend one in Osaka or Kyoto? Now I'm going to put that on my bucket list because we have not actually done a temple stay.
We want to.
It sounds like it'd be a wonderful experience, but we can't share from personal experience.
And we highly recommend, I can't think of anything today. What's wrong? Wabunka. Wabunka. They are very, very pricey, but their experiences are phenomenal. And they offer temple stays all around Japan. But yes, we definitely want to do it as well. Hi, Ivy, Josel Antonio 6800. Day trip to Kobe or Kyoto by the sea from Osaka.
You can definitely take a day trip to either of those.
Yeah, absolutely. It really depends on what you want to see and do. So Kobe is a great place to go if you want to have Kobe beef, or if you want to just hang around along the waterside. They have a really beautiful waterfront area in Kobe. Kyoto, you can also see the sea from there too if you go, to the northern part of Kyoto. But that's not going to be near any of the temples and stuff. So do you want to see temples or do you want to see more of a modern city? I think you just need to weigh that option there. And if you go to Kobe, Awaji Island is right there as well. If you want to go cross over to Awaji on the same day, you can do that. Very, very, very cool place to go. Which areas in Osaka will you recommend to find apart hotels with separate bigger rooms and quiet? My son has special needs, so we need a full kitchen and separate rooms for sleeping. So we just stayed at the Mimaru Shinsaibashi North, and it was fantastic. They did have 2 separate rooms, completely separate rooms. Is that the one that had 2 bathrooms? I can't recall.
We stayed at a lot of different Mimarus, so I can't remember.
It might have even had 2 bathrooms. I'm not sure. The rooms are on the pricier end to actually get 2 separate bedrooms. However, this is an excellent location also in the Shinsaibashi area, so it was also very walkable. And and yeah,
They have
because
a kitchenette, so a good sized
yeah,
fridge.
so you
cook.
can totally cook. We cooked in
Table.
there as well. Yeah, separate rooms. Really good option. Your second option would be Mondays. I don't know how many of them. I know some of them also have separate rooms, but usually they only have like one separate room, and the other one is like more in the open, like a regular hotel. So again, Mimaru definitely has them. Again, they're on the pricier side. The one on Shinsaibashi North is a fantastic location. Again, very easily walkable and near train stations.
And if you want to find any of our hotel recommendations, we put them all in our Expedia travel shop, and we usually have a section for like family-friendly hotels in there. I'll put a link to our Expedia travel shop into the chat box.
All right, hi, Stephanie3522. Hello. Are there any areas to avoid if traveling with a 1.5-year-old?
The main thing is in Shinjuku.
At night?
Is it Kabukicho?
Kabukicho area. Yeah.
That's like a nightlife area.
But you're probably not going to be out, with your kid late at night anyways, so I wouldn't worry. I mean, we've taken our kids at that age everywhere. Never had an issue. So I don't think you need to really worry about that. Just the only place, we wouldn't take them to is like places in Shinjuku at night, and also some places in like Roppongi. But we're talking, late at night, like after 9, 10 o'clock. So.
But otherwise, pretty much we go anywhere.
Pretty much everywhere. And there's a lot to do for 1.5-year-olds too, especially like if you go to like regular shopping malls, they always have little play areas for kids and stuff. Even Muji has play areas for kids, and so perfect for the little ones.
Anytime you get a little out of the city center to the more residential areas, there's always playgrounds.
Have y'all ever stayed around Kuramae? I've booked a hotel room there for my family in November. Fully refundable. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And I'm excited because it seems like such a charming and quiet little place. It is.
Yeah, that's what we were saying is a hidden gem. We stay a lot in Sumida, which is like across the river from Asakusa, and the Kuramae is really close to Asakusa as well. And one of our friends stayed there. They really liked it.
Are you staying at the L? That would be my guess, yeah. Anyways,
So there's a lot of little shops. Like
yeah.
if you like doing crafts, there's a lot of shops where you can make things with your own hands in Kodomae. When we did the spoon making experience through Wabunka, it was there. But also there's a lot of shops you can just walk into and do a little activity. There's like a lot of coffee shops. If you go on a weekday, you'll have a better chance of getting in. On the weekends, there's long lines for the cafes. There's Dandelion Cafe, which has really good quality hot chocolate and other chocolate products as well. So it's a really nice place to walk around. There is like 1 or 2 days of the week where the shops are closed. So you might want to just double check that. But from there, you can easily get over to Asakusa to do the whole Sensoji.
Yeah, you could just walk
temple
from there.
area.
Yeah, Kuramae is really up and coming. How common are squatty potties in Japan? We'll be in Kyoto, Tokyo, and Osaka, and we'll be staying overnight in Zenkoji Temple. Nice. Had knee replacements, so was curious about that.
So most of the public bathrooms, if they do have the squat style, they also have at least one stall with the Western style toilet. However, when you say staying in a temple, that's
most likely they're going to have
it's probably going to be squat there. So I don't know if you want to contact them ahead of time to ask about that.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're going to have both.
It used to be a lot of the tourist sites were the squat toilets, but
they're disappearing.
I see most, there's usually at least a Western option as well.
Yeah, definitely contact them ahead, but I'm sure they'll have both.
Well, temple may not. Temple may be squat only.
Yeah. All right. Hi, we are in Tokyo for 2 nights and staying in Shibuya. Any must-do recommendations for our family trip to make the most out of Tokyo?
You'll be right by Shibuya Crossing. You might want to go to Shibuya Sky Observation Deck. There's a ton of shopping there, like the Pokemon stores.
Parco. A lot of people like to go to Parco. There's also the flagship Don Quixote is there as well.
My favorite thing to do from Shibuya is to walk out of Shibuya and walk over to like Omotosando Avenue, which is more kind of upscale, and then walk through Harajuku's Takeshita Street for crazy madness and rainbow-colored sweets, and then I walk over to Yoyogi Park, which is like a great public park, and then I circle back around into the Shibuya area. But there's tons of shopping and dining right there in Shibuya.
Yeah, there's so much to do. Just go out and walk. Do the scramble crossing and just walk down one of the streets. And just get lost. You know, there's just so much to see and do. And if you end up in Omotesando, fantastic.
There's tons of shopping malls right there. I was trying to think of the name of the one that has the skate park right on top. I don't know. Something like Miyashita?
It's just too early for us today.
Sorry.
Yamashita Park. No?
No.
I think it starts with a way.
There's
Why?
a ton
Anyway,
of malls right there.
There's a ton. Hi, Lucky Sunday. Have you guys ever traveled with another family? We're going with friends and hope that our blended party, 4 adults, 3 kids, don't have too much chaos.
Here's my prediction. There will be a fight at some point in your trip.
Don't say that.
At some point, there will be. The most stressful thing in Japan can be, one, coordinating what does everybody want to do, and can we all agree on that? So maybe having those kind of basic itinerary plans set in advance. And then 2, sometimes the train travel can get really stressful. So I've mostly seen, people having a little bit of conflict when it comes to they're having difficulty, like they're lost in a train station or they're missing their train or something like that. So I guess as much prep as you do
for transportation
ahead of time,
yes.
Like watching all our videos on train transportation. He's done one on how to take the local trains around Tokyo. We've done ones on how to take limited express trains, Shinkansen, and just kind of being prepared for that. Also thinking about your communication strategy. So, are you going to have things like eSIM on your phone that you can then use a chat app like WhatsApp or Line to communicate with other family members? Sometimes people might rely on a pocket Wi-Fi with a group, and we had one time where one member of the group got separated at the train station, and then they were out of range of the pocket Wi-Fi. They could no longer message and communicate with the rest of the family who had the pocket Wi-Fi. So just thinking ahead of time, like, are we all going to install Line on our phone, and is that what we're planning to use to communicate with each other? And 4 adults, 3 kids. It kind of depends on, the kids' ages, but making
right.
sure that everybody gets to do kind of something that they want. We've seen sometimes
there should be a kids' day, for sure.
The kids got to do everything they wanted and the dad didn't get to do anything he wanted. Or, if you're trying to make it all the things the grown-ups
right.
want and then the kids might not have it. So
I would also try to have one day where you guys are apart. Like, just do things separately.
Or I thought what he was going to say is have at least one rest day. I think so many first-time visitors, they just want to see everything and they try to pack it all in. A rest day, like especially if you have if I don't know how long you're going, but if it's like 2 weeks and you put like a rest day in the middle there where people can just kind of chill, have their alone time, do their laundry, something like that, some downtime, I think would really be appreciated for everybody. And like you said, maybe a day or 2 where not everybody does everything together. You might break off based upon interests. Certain people want to see this or other people want to do that. Overall, it should be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very memorable trip. Hi, Ronalyn. We will be in Tokyo for 6 days. Is doing a day trip to Kyoto on the Shinkansen possible? Last minute trip.
People do it. We've heard of it. It's like 2 hours to get down there. Would I recommend it? No. Personally. I mean, we have a video on like day trips from Tokyo. Personally, if I was going to take a day trip from Tokyo, I would go somewhere near Tokyo, like maybe head up to Nikko or go over to Hakone for the day.
Mount Fuji.
Or if you're in the springtime, go to my favorite Hitachi Seaside Park. The Shinkansen is fast and all, but once you get to Kyoto, what a lot of people don't take into consideration is that the sites are spread out. So there's still a lot of transportation involved to get to like the temples and stuff. So I personally would enjoy Tokyo and the surrounding area.
But it is possible, because you're asking if it's possible. It's totally possible. I would take the earliest train possible, get on that Shinkansen at 6 o'clock in the morning, take the Nozomi, because that is the fastest path there. Once you arrive at Kyoto Station, know where you're going to go ahead of time. Don't just wing it, because then you're just going to waste your day. Because like Heidi said, everything is spread out. Again, take the Nozomi, take the earliest train, and know when that last train is so you can return back on the same night.
Yeah, and know exactly where you're going in Kyoto so you can get there efficiently. Somebody said Skytree had a recent scare. People got stuck in the elevator for hours, and one of my biggest fears is to get stuck in an elevator. Yeah. So, yeah, that happened at Skytree.
Hi, Endaido 1758. We want to watch the fireworks at the end of Tenjin Matsuri. Where would you recommend any indoor sky view for seeing the fireworks for kids? We need to stay away from the crowds.
I'm not familiar with that specific
Yeah,
festival.
I'm not either. I'm going to look it up real quick.
Tenjin Matsuri. We'd have to look that up. In the summertime, there are a lot of different
There's so many.
fireworks displays, but that particular one I don't know of. Let's see. Another question is, how early should our family arrive with pre-purchased tickets for Team Lab Borderless? I believe when you purchase your tickets, it tells you how much in advance you should show up, but something like 15 minutes ahead of time. But even when you get there, you'll basically be joining a massive line, and then you'll still need to wait in line to get up to the door. I have seen on Klook, they have some like special, more expensive tickets that are like skip the line tickets, because even though you do buy a specific time slot, you then get in line and you wait to get in. So I forget if it's about 15-20 minutes ahead.
I'm going to have to do more research on that to find a good location on that.
So I'm debating between rental car versus transit for a day trip to Hakone. I like freedom, but rental car has challenges too. Any advice? We personally have never done a rental car for Hakone area. If you're not familiar yet with Hakone, I've done multiple videos about the Hakone Free Pass, and that's a pass that covers all the transportation. So you can get one that covers a round trip from Shinjuku into the Hakone area, and then all the types of transportation in that area are covered by the Hakone Free Pass. So like local trains, cable car, the gondola type one, the pirate ship across the lake. So because the Hakone Free Pass and all that transportation exists, I don't think it's an area that you so much need a rental car.
Especially for one day, yeah, because getting to Hakone, driving the Hakone area, it's very, very windy, very windy. And if you are coming from a country like the United States, Japan, we drive on the left side in Japan, not on the right side. So things to take into consideration. If you do decide, make sure you have an international driver permit and have your passport handy.
And then parking will be another thing. I'm going to put a link to my video about the Hakone Free Pass. If you're going to like Mount Fuji Kawaguchiko, that might be more an area for rental car.
Any recommendations on onsen in Tokyo, Osaka?
Within the actual city of Tokyo, they don't tend to be like outdoor baths, but there is the Manyo Club. Do you remember the whole name?
I don't.
There's ones where in the city and then they pump the water in so you can still enjoy the hot springs water. Let me see if I can find the name of that.
There are some local ones like in the Kawasaki area, and I mean, they do exist. They're just more local style. The Manyo one is more set up for international travelers and for anyone for them. It's, I would say, more comfortable. Oh yeah,
Toyosu Manyo Club.
Okay, yeah, the Toyosu Manyo Club in the Odaiba area.
They have that in Tokyo. They also have it in Yokohama, and so it's more like an indoor facility where you can use the different baths. You can eat food. You can lounge around in a chair, and some of those even for like an extra surcharge, you can even just spend the night in the chair. Osaka, I'm not sure.
Osaka, there's one. Where is that one? It's near. I want to say near Namba, not quite. Maybe closer to Tennoji Station. There is a really big one called.
I'm gonna look it up.
My mind is not working today.
But the onsens, if you want to get like the traditional ryokan experience and maybe more of an outdoor hot spring, those tend to be in the nature areas that have hot springs naturally occurring. So that's why there tend to be like a lot in Hakone because there's volcanic activity there. In the cities, there's sometimes indoor buildings where you can experience the hot water that's pumped in, and then some of them it's not even natural hot spring water. Sometimes it's just like heated tap water.
Yeah. Okay. So it's called Spa World near Shin Imamiya Station. It's a massive complex. So that one is right in the middle of Osaka. Like Heidi said, if you want the real type of experience, you're going to have to go more into the hills and stuff, and that's regardless of whether you're in the Osaka or Tokyo area. So,
and there's also one right at Tokyo Dome. Do you remember what that was called? There's another indoor building one at Tokyo Dome as well.
All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. Hi, Mint Jelly MP. We want to go to Sapporo and Tokyo and Shirakawa Go. Is there a way to do this the best way and more affordable? So those are really three completely different locations. You're probably going to want to fly to Sapporo just to save time. So I would do a round trip flight to Sapporo. So one thing you can do is, if you happen to be flying ANA is offering still free domestic flights. You can check, like, if you book it, for instance, like you book your flight into Japan, and then let's say you arrive in Tokyo, and then you have to book within the same booking from Tokyo to Sapporo and Sapporo back to Tokyo, then that flight might be free. The only thing that you would be charged is taxes. So look into that first.
Through ANA.
Yeah, through ANA. I would do a search like ANA free domestic flights or something like that. And then
they're only free on certain routes. So.
Correct. And then so look for that, because if you don't go through the right link, you won't see the flights being, free and stuff like that. And as far as going to Shirakawa Go, I would do that as a side trip also from Tokyo. You can just take the Shinkansen. You might want to consider visiting other places if you're going to go to Shirakawa Go as well, like Kanazawa, since it's right there. In fact, I would take the Shinkansen to Kanazawa, spend a couple days in Kanazawa and do Shirakawa Go as a side trip. Possibly even rent a car, or taking a bus is an option as well. As far as affordability, yeah, if you can get that free flight, that would be the best way to save money.
There are also like bus tours to Shirakawa Go too, if you don't want to take the Shinkansen to Kanazawa. But we really like Kanazawa, so we would recommend spending a night or two there.
Hi, Masharo. Is 4 to 5 months before the trip enough time to book good hotels in Tokyo, Kyoto, and Hakone?
Generally, we recommend about 6 months in advance, and that's because a lot of hotels don't actually even release the rooms until you get about 6 months. Sometimes people are trying to book a whole year in advance and they're not seeing any availability. So yeah, once you're at like the 5 months, and then it really depends the time of year you're going. So like winter is low season, it can be easier to book things and better prices. If you're planning a spring trip, like we've talked a lot about, if you're going during cherry blossom season at the end of March, beginning of April, or if you're going during Golden Week at the end of April, beginning of May, those super crowded times, book as much as you can in advance, because that's when things will fill up more. Also, Hakone, there's not as many options if you're trying to do one of those ryokan with onsen, so I would recommend booking in advance. I tried to do like a last minute one time, and there just wasn't as many options available anymore for Hakone. So that might be like the first one I would book, to make sure you get the type of accommodation you want, specifically if you're trying to do like a ryokan traditional one there, which I recommend. And
did you mention about try to get one that's refundable if possible? So if you change your mind, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anytime that we book hotels, we personally work with Expedia, but we also book ourselves through Expedia, and we make sure that it's one that says that you can cancel really close to the check-in date, because sometimes we need to change plans. Our last trip, we had a very expensive ryokan with very expensive meals booked, and then the whole family was sick. And we're like, we're not going to waste money on this super expensive night when nobody's even feeling well enough to enjoy it. And so we canceled that one, booked a hotel in Nagoya instead. So just like having that flexibility of one that has a good cancellation policy. So check that when you're booking.
All right. Hi, Uma Diane Wanger. Sorry. Love your videos about the experiences, especially the samurai ones. Unfortunately, I saw it the other day after I left. What was the cost of the experiences?
It varies. There's different packages. So like there's just like a museum tour. There's ones where you actually get to do the swords. So there's different options available. Yeah. That specific video, we were hosted on those, so we weren't actually paying.
But the cost, it varies by child or adult, and it's per person. And I think they start at about $25 up to $100 per person. So we actually had a private experience. So in order to do a private, I think you have to book the entire room. So I think it requires 9 people or something like that. Yeah, a certain number of people. And then you can have it. So again, I think it was between $25 up to $90 per person, depending on the experience that you choose.
For most of those experiences, you can either book where it's like there's going to be other people you don't know in the room along with you, or you can book, if you have the minimum number of people, book it out as a private experience.
All right, Ginkgo Seed, thank you for your advice earlier. What time do airport express buses start operating in the morning? If our flight departure at Haneda is 10:00, what time in advance should we be at the airport?
I just rewatched one of his airport videos. I think it was like 7:45 a.m. or something. It can vary what time.
It varies by location, yes. So it's hard to say. What I would do is I would go to the airport limousine website and check where you're coming from to where you need to go. But I would want to be there by 8 a.m. personally. As far as what time they start running, it really depends. Yeah, some of them start as early as 5 o'clock in the morning, but it depends on the location of where you're originating.
I'm going to put a link to the airport limousine bus website into the chat box if you want to look up the details there.
Are there any differences in pricing between the Go app and Uber? We don't use Uber in Japan at all, but I've heard that the prices are about the same, which does make sense to me. I mean,
yeah, some people already have Uber, so they just want to keep using it. The thing to keep in mind is in Japan, Uber will hail you a taxi. It's not a ride-sharing app like it might be in the US. It's going to be an actual taxi that comes.
Right, and also Uber is not, it's not everywhere in Japan like Go is. So take that into consideration, especially if you're going to go off the beaten path. Even to places like Hakone, you're only going to find Go. You're not going to find Uber.
How much cash should I keep on mind? Sorry, so in our slides earlier, we covered that in case there's an emergency, it's always a good idea to have at least like 10,000 to 20,000 yen in your wallet, just in case there was a power outage or something. What we do is when we arrive in Japan, I take out either 50,000 yen or 100,000 yen from the ATM. So that's in the 300 to 600 US dollars range. We are a family of 5. We personally don't spend cash a whole lot in Japan. There are some small restaurants, some small shops that are cash only, but we pay for most things by a credit card. So because of that, we just really hold onto our cash for times like if you're at a park and there's food vendors and those are cash only. So we don't spend as much cash because we only spend it if we have to. Also, a lot of people have said that they realize how widely acceptable something like a Suica IC card is. So if you have, say, a mobile IC card on your phone and you can recharge that through your credit card on your phone, there are a lot of restaurants, shops at malls, convenience stores that you can pay by your IC card, in addition to vending machines, coin lockers, actual transportation.
Hi at Loss. What is the weather usually like in April? I was there in March 2024 and it was super rainy in Tokyo.
It starts to warm up a little bit in April, but still cool. Any time of year there can be rain, maybe half the days in April possibly could rain, so always good idea to bring or buy an umbrella. And I did do a video recently on a packing list for spring in Japan, and all my packing lists I always include the weather up front in those videos if you want to watch that spring packing list.
Yeah, the weather unfortunately is still all over the place even in April.
Yeah, that's the thing with spring. It's here, there, everywhere. You could get sunny day and be wearing a short sleeve top. You could get a rainy day, or April's not going to snow, but sometimes March even still has snow.
Snowing. It was snowing in Tokyo yesterday. So, I mean, yeah, it's still March, but yeah. Hi, at H Dazzle. What should I be packing for a trip to Japan in mid-late May? Is a jacket or two overkill?
So by late May, you may already be getting what's like summer weather. So hot, sticky, humid weather. Mid-late May, I'm already in like short sleeve shirts. We do shorts or dresses for the girls. And then I wouldn't bring 2 jackets. I always bring at least like a sweater, like a hoodie sweater or a cardigan for each person. You might not even need the jacket, but do keep in mind sometimes people will go on a side trip to somewhere that's higher elevation, like Kawaguchiko or Hakone, and when you go to higher elevation, you could get cooler evenings. I think I'd be doing at most a rain jacket for that time of year. I do have a separate summer packing list for Japan video as well.
Hi, at DoYX. We'll be traveling to Narita in 2 weeks and staying in Ueno one night before heading to Kanazawa, then to Osaka and back to Ueno. Do I need to book train tickets in advance for all 3 directions? All right, so it sounds like you were going the Hokuriku region. So one thing to take into consideration is if you were going to be taking the Shinkansen, the Hokuriku Shinkansen to Kanazawa, then some of those Shinkansens are 100% reserved only. That means you have to reserve a seat in advance, otherwise you won't have a seat at all. So yes, in that regard, for at least the Shinkansen, I would definitely reserve that in advance. And then you can only take the Shinkansen as far as Suruga Station, and from Suruga Station, you would need to take the Thunderbird Limited Express. That also, I recommend that you book in advance because the seats there are smaller and there's less space for luggage and things like that. So it's just a good idea. Yeah, I would book those in advance. Databag, the monorail, in my opinion, it's overrated.
Our kids liked it. So our youngest, he and I love trains, and on the monorail, if you sit like where the window is, you can actually like watch the monorail going on the track.
That's true.
We like it.
But you can just ride the one in Osaka.
It's good. The monorail in Okinawa is good if you're getting from the airport into Naha.
But your kids are going to love Okinawa, so Okinawa is always great.
We like it because it's similar to Hawaii.
Just want to give a quick thanks again to Maya Chapman. Thank you so much for Super Chat. It's bedtime for me. I always appreciate your lives. Thank you for sharing experiences to help us with our travels. We appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you, Maya. Please, keep letting us know how your trip is going. We're here to help. All right. How rainy is it in July in Osaka? Driest week of doing USJ in July.
So July tends to be when July is kind of when like the rainy season breaks. So by mid-July, you might get hot, clear blue skies. So we did USJ in mid-July and it was so hot. Like I got heat exhaustion, massive headache. And I was trying to stay on top of it, buy the kids all the expensive fancy drinks, try to get shade. They had special indoor areas just to allow people to come inside and have air conditioning, because in the summer they had a lot of cool like water shows outside at USJ with water guns and all, but people were sitting out in the bright direct sun under their parasols waiting for it. Like it was unbearable that we couldn't wait outside for the show to start. So we like waited indoor in the air conditioning, went outside just for the show. Even the parade was shortened so that the performers didn't get heat stroke. Yeah. So yes, you're going to avoid the rain more if you go like in mid-July to USJ, but just be prepared for the heat and the sun.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen rain in July in Osaka, to be honest. But I mean, you'll see it in June, but July?
June is like the rainy season. July is when it's like it finally clears. And temperatures are deceiving in Japan because you look at the temperature and it might be like 85. And say I'm from California, 85, that's like no big deal, right? But in Japan, it's like when you add the intensity of the humidity, it just makes those temperatures feel a lot hotter than the number would suggest.
Hi, Robin Boy Wonder 1986. If we have the JR Kansai Hiroshima Pass, can we ride from Hiroshima to Tokyo and just pay separately for the Osaka Tokyo part on the Nozomi? You will have to buy a separate ticket. Unfortunately, it is not included in the JR Hiroshima Pass. So I would just buy a separate Nozomi ticket if you want to go from Osaka to Tokyo.
There's a lot of different regional passes.
Yeah, a lot of different regional passes. And actually, there is only one pass that includes going from Tokyo to Osaka along the Tokaido region, which is the fastest way to go. And that is the whole JR pass. That is the only pass that includes that segment. Hi, Miley731. We're going in mid-May to Sapporo. Any recommendations?
I got excited when I saw this because I was really trying to get to Sapporo in mid-May because there is a lilac festival taking place May 14th through May 25th. So any time of year, that long stretching Odori Park is a nice place to walk outside, and they have like beer gardens and stuff. But specifically in like mid-May, there will be a lilac festival going on with lots of drooping purple pretty flowers. And then Sapporo, there's like the beer factory, there's the chocolate factory. There's just like a lot of nice places. And that time of year, there will be flowers blooming.
It's going to be really, really nice.
Blooming outdoors.
Yeah, we're trying to get, well, we're going to miss mid-May. We're trying to be there by the end of May.
I wanted to get there for the Lilac Festival, but I don't think I'll make it.
All right, regarding bears, is it a good idea not to carry any snacks with you when sightseeing in very tiny towns or going out of town a bit?
Yeah, probably a good idea not to have anything that smells like berries on you. Also, it's pretty normal in Japan for people to have a bear bell on their bag, and that just kind of to give the bears a heads up that you're coming. You might also want to do have a buddy with you. If you're going really out where there's not a lot of people, bear spray is an option. But yeah, making noise, stomping, singing, things to just like let them know that you're coming, because it's the black bears that are more skittish, right? They don't really want to interact with you, so if you give them a heads up that you're coming, they're more likely to get out of your way. But even places like Shirakawa-go, somebody got attacked waiting at the bus station for the sightseeing bus. So that's a very touristy area, and they were at the bus stop, and a young bear still took a swipe at them.
Yeah. Ever been to Yamaguchi? Sorry, we haven't been to Yamaguchi yet. I'm starting my trip there and looking for low-key things to do around Iwakuni with my family and 2 young kids. So far, I've been to Hiroshima, Miyajima, and Yanai as day trips. Yeah, no, we haven't been there yet. That is on our list of things to do, so if anybody can help out, please drop it in the comments below. Tomorrow we land at 4 p.m. Narita, carry on only. We booked a 445 wheeler bus. If we miss it, I think...
Oops, it's cut off. If we miss it, what are the other options? So carry on only, that'll help you get through faster. It might take you 45 minutes to get... first you got to get off the airplane. That can take 10 minutes. Then you've got to get through immigration and customs. That might be a little bit tight on the bus.
It's going to be close. So I would look ahead of time exactly where you can catch that bus. Contact Wheeler Bus to know which bus stop outside. And I would look at Narita has a really good map of like where all the buses are located to help you out. And make sure you fill out Visit Japan Web ahead of time. Whatever you do, make sure you've got that done. Be ready to get off that plane. Yeah, you're doing carry on only. It's going to be close.
If you were to miss it, then also look up where like the Wheeler counter is, so that if you were to miss it, you could go up to their counter and say, I was supposed to be on this bus.
Yeah, sorry we can't give better advice than that. Hi, Michael, Line Kitmac 3469. Sorry for butchering your name. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hello from Canada. I'm just in Tokyo for a conference near the end of the month for 6 days near Toranomon. Is there anything you would recommend?
I put a link earlier to our 7-day Tokyo itinerary to give you some general ideas. But
yeah,
are you familiar with
that covers
area?
some of that area. You're near Azabudai and stuff like that. There's Team Lab right in that area. But that location is really, really good location. You can get anywhere, and you're there for 6 days. So what do you want to do? What interests you? Let us know, and then we'll respond to you. What is the proper etiquette for video and picture taking in Japan?
I think we answered this already. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we may have answered actually some this.
So just please be polite. I think this is one we already addressed.
Be polite and just do as the locals are doing. Yeah.
Are there bathrooms on the Shinkansen? Yes, there are. And that's one thing I really like about riding a Shinkansen versus like riding on an airplane is it's perfectly acceptable to get up for a little walk, to go to the bathroom. Also near the bathroom, there's trash cans. So if you finish your drink, finish your food, you can go throw your trash away. Also, if you want to go to that little deck that's in between train cars, sometimes that's a good place to like look out the window and get a view of Mount Fuji or just stretch your legs. You don't have a seatbelt, you're not locked into your seat. You can get up when you need to. And there's usually like a more accessible, bigger bathroom, I think, as well as bathrooms that are for men or women.
Hi, Bullet Dad 7258. I got on the bullet train from Kyoto to Tokyo, but when I arrived at Tokyo Station and tried to exit and inserted my tickets, the gate opened and closed right away. What did I do wrong? Wrong exit?
There are so many things that could possibly go wrong with paper Shinkansen tickets that unless we know all the exact details, we don't know exactly. But sometimes when you get your tickets, it's one ticket, it's one piece of paper. Sometimes it's two pieces of paper, and sometimes it's three pieces of paper. So knowing which ones to insert in the ticket gate, like for instance, you may have inserted the wrong one when you first went through or inserted the wrong one when you exited. Whenever we don't know, we ask like the attendant at the train station, which ones of these do we need to insert? Because there's often one that's like a base fare. There could be a separate one that's your super limited express surcharge, and there could be a separate one that's just your seat information, which doesn't need to actually go through the ticket gate. This is one reason we like using like SmartEX and just linking it to our IC card. Then there aren't the paper tickets to mess with. We just tap the IC card, pick up the seat information slip, and walk through, and it's a little less complicated. Unfortunately, Shinkansen tickets are complicated, and that's why we do have multiple videos on them.
Thank you for the question. It is really complicated, yeah.
We've even messed up sometimes. Just recently,
right.
We realized we only purchased the base fare and we didn't have
we were in such a hurry.
Limited express surcharge part of it.
We still make mistakes. So thank you. We just got a couple of responses saying that the Go app people are being allowed to activate them from their home country now via SMS. So that's fantastic. Thank you for letting us know.
That's great. If you can set it up before you go, that'll be easier.
From EADJ 2006, thank you for the super chat. Curious as your favorite places that you've been since you've been in Japan so many times. I've been to Tokyo 8 times since 2015 and never get tired of it. Wow, that's a lot. It's hard to beat that.
My absolute favorite that I'm always talking about, and I don't understand why it is not the most popular in Japan, is Hokkaido. So we go both for winter trips and we do like all the outdoor snow, because being from Hawaii, our kids, the idea of snow is just like super, super magical to them. And then also for the summertime, Hokkaido has the most beautiful flower fields. It has fresh raw dairy products. It has beautiful nature. So I really like that. We like Okinawa in the south for, the beaches and warm weather. There's certain parts of Tokyo I like all the parks and the gardens. But I guess I get more to the extremes, really north or really south.
Yeah. And if you're into like hidden temples and stuff like that, Matsumoto is one of our favorite places. And just going off the beaten path, there's a couple places that we're always talking about, in particular Gofukuji Temple, which is near Matsumoto. Matsumoto Temple itself, castle itself is amazing. The Naraijuku area, part of the Nakasendo Trail. Or if you want to go farther down along the coastline to Fukui, there is a temple called Eiheiji, which is no doubt one of the best in all of Japan. And this many tourists, maybe you might see a handful of tourists, literally. That's all you're going to see there. And it's just, amazing.
And also the Fukui Dinosaur Museum there.
Fukui Dinosaur Museum,
excellent.
yeah. So, there's a lot of places. Let us know, you guys, what are you interested in seeing? Because, it sounds like a lot of people want to go off the beaten path, but when we make those videos, we don't get as much traction.
They never get as many views.
So
yeah.
We're really curious, because, let us know. And same as you, let us know what else you're interested in. We can help you answer more of those questions for you.
Like, do people want temples? Do they want outdoor hikes?
Right.
Experiences,
nature? Like real Japanese experiences, trying to avoid tourist traps.
That Fukui area too, there's a village nearby where they make the washi paper by hand. Or knives.
Knives too, yeah. If you want to make knives, there's just so many, really cool things to do. Hi, Lucky Sunday. How complex does customs get when you arrive in one airport but depart from another? Considering starting in Osaka and ending in Tokyo, going backwards seems silly though.
There's no problem.
No problem at all.
A lot of people mix up the terms immigration and customs, but customs is usually nothing to declare.
You just go right out.
It's really simple.
Yeah, very simple.
We've never had an issue with customs. And we do often advise, say, fly into Tokyo and fly home from Osaka, because you don't necessarily need to go all the way back up to Tokyo just to catch a flight. We're big fans of doing just one direction on our trip.
Hi, Home Acoustics 101. Thank you both for your videos. Do you have any recommendations for insurance while traveling? I'll be cycling in Japan next month.
We talked about this earlier. We personally use Safety Wing for our travel medical insurance, and there is a affiliate referral link in the description box below the video if you want to check them out and see. Since it's specifically cycling, you want to make sure whether or not that's covered. A lot of the more minor sports are, but if you get into anything too extreme, there can be exceptions.
Yeah. It's definitely a good option. I think it does cover cycling.
Probably. It even covers climbing Mount Fuji.
Yeah. Hey, Pecan50, do you have any recommendations for luggage brands and sizes?
I am currently working on a video all about luggage. And so one thing is, if you're just an individual, one person, then I recommend bringing no more than like a carry-on suitcase plus your little personal item, like a backpack or tote that goes on top and won't fall off. Or if you're bigger, like a family, and you want to have a check-size suitcase, then something like a medium-sized suitcase. And we've become real fans of the top opening suitcases. So instead of a normal clamshell suitcase that opens down the middle and can be heavy and take up more floor space in a tiny hotel room, we like the one where you can just open the top, because then you don't have to have as much room to lay it out and get into your suitcase. Because one thing a lot of people don't anticipate is how small the hotel rooms can be in Japan. So sometimes there is not really room for a large suitcase. But I will definitely be coming out with some recommendations regarding like size and shape of your luggage in my next video.
All right. Hi, Alex B9498. I'm in Japan mid-April. My hotel is near Skytree. I was thinking of hiring a motor scooter. I did contact asking about parking in or out on the footpath. Reply was no. Is this a thing? Yes, it is true. So they've been cracking down on, scooters and even bicycles. They don't want you riding or blocking paths. So, it's really a gray area, I would say. So because of that, I don't know. It's some places you're going to be fine, and other places you could get a ticket. So, take that into consideration. I've read, a few articles in the past about, people getting tickets, even locals getting tickets by parking where they're not supposed to, even when they didn't think they were blocking footpaths or anything like that. So, but yet the funny thing is you're going to see these Japanese moms riding on the sidewalks so fast, and they get away with
And their
anything
bicycles.
with their bikes.
Okay. Okay, they're just responding to each other. Okay, that one we have. Do you think there is any need to bring US dollars with you to Japan as emergency backup money, or isn't necessary and I can just withdraw once I get there? So I do carry on us about $200 to $300 US as absolute real emergency backup. Like the theme of this live is being prepared for a safe trip. Sometimes something happens, a natural disaster, an act of war, a pandemic. There can be times like where all the currency exchanges, the ATMs, things shut down in a country. So yes, for a real, true emergency, I hold on to that. Have I ever needed to use my US dollars to convert in Japan? No. Have I needed to use it in other countries like in Southeast Asia? Yes, sometimes I have needed that. Also, sometimes like fees might have to be paid in US dollars if you're like working with the US embassy. Say you like lost your passport or something. But so as a true emergency backup, yes. For cash that we're going to spend in Japan, we don't get that ahead of time. If you want to, you could order some from your bank, a couple weeks before your trip. We just wait and withdraw yen at the ATM at the airport when we arrive. We've never had an issue doing that.
All right. We are going at the end of March, start of April. What should we expect weather to be like?
Okay, so that's going to be like cherry blossom season. It's still going to be cool. It's going to be variable where you might have cool mornings and cool evenings, but it could be heat up in the middle of the day and be sunny. So layers are key. I like to pack long sleeve shirts because I get cold easily, but then having things like a cardigan or a sweater that you can layer on top, something like a light jacket might be good for evenings, or if you go anywhere with higher elevation, such as if you visit Mount Fuji, and definitely there could be rain. So think about rain in terms of buying or bringing an umbrella, but also your footwear. One thing I didn't think too good about one year is what's going to happen when our shoes get rained on. Are they somewhat water repellent, or is the rain going to go straight through them and we end up with wet feet? So those are all considerations, and you might want to watch my spring packing list for Japan. I always include a section on the weather in any of my packing list videos.
I know tipping gratuity isn't a custom in Japan, but are there any rarer situations where tipping is okay? On my last trip, I really wanted to tip my barber for an amazing job.
There's only like 2 situations that I know of where tipping is like kind of normal, and that's like if you have an all-day tour guide, you might want to either tip them discreetly by already putting the money into one of those little money envelopes and doing it where nobody really notices you're handing it to them, or bringing some type of gift, like something that's traditional in your home country, and bringing that as a gift for your tour guide to share a little bit of your culture. The other thing is when we went to the Taishuingeki,
yeah.
which is like theater for the people, that one, they have a tipping culture because that's pretty much how the performers make their money. But things like a barbershop, I don't think it's typical. Like when I've gotten my hair done in Japan, I didn't tip.
Right. If you really want to, then a gift is always accepted, though. So take that into consideration, like a small gift. If you just have, you'd have to have that on you, though.
You can visit 7-Eleven to get like the little money envelopes if you do want to tip a monetary tip to somebody.
All right. We're taking a 12-day tour. We booked through Costco in early April. What's your take on tours in Japan, aka group tours?
We haven't done them. We've just been independent travelers for many, many years, and we like to try to go like when places aren't crowded. So if you're with a tour, just keep in mind you'll always be at the different sites at the same time as other people will be there as well.
Right, and you are on a set schedule. So I did do a tour recently, actually, me and my son.
Oh, like a one-day tour.
Yeah, it was a one-day tour. And it was quite good. It was very, I would say the benefits are you're going to learn things that most people will not get to know, because you're going to have someone able to translate things for you and explain things better. So that's definitely the benefit of the tour. Hi, with Accent 3388, sorry I just joined. Would it be possible to know about Toyama, especially hiking? Is a one-day trip from Tokyo possible? Worth it? So we haven't explored the Toyama area all that much. We've only just driven through it. So one day, I would say very, very, very hard to do, because from Tokyo, it's going to take you about 2 hours to get to Toyama via the Shinkansen. So yeah, I think it would be very hard to do, especially if you want to go hiking, because once you get into the town, then you're going to have to get some transportation out to where you can start your hike.
You might want to do something like the Hokuriku Arch Pass, or just taking the Shinkansen and basing yourself there for a couple nights.
Hi, Martin Wilson 3602. Would you recommend hiring a car to drive from Takayama to Kanazawa? That would certainly be a good option, a good place for driving a car. Most people take the bus, and so if you want more freedom, yes, I think hiring a car is a good idea.
As we mentioned before, make sure you get an international driver permit while you're still in your home country. Bring your driver's license and your passport as well to rent the car.
And a quick shout out to Crazy4 European Travels. Thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated, always. All right. Shenran 1741. Hi, is July a good month to visit Japan? We're planning to go to Hakone.
We've been multiple times in July. A thing to keep in mind is that it's going to be intense weather with heat, humidity, maybe bright sun, but Hakone, the weather maybe will be a bit cooler there than it would be in Tokyo.
Yes.
Oh, and hydrangea season.
Oh yes.
Summer in Hakone has the most beautiful hydrangea. So I think July you would be seeing those.
Hi Mongo Playa Skate AM. Are taxis, Go Taxi, a lot more expensive than using the bus? Trying to see if the cost difference is using a taxi worth it for time and convenience for an area like Hakone without good trains. So the taxi is definitely going to save you a lot of time in Hakone. The buses in Hakone, they stop everywhere. So I would say, a taxi is going to take you 20 minutes, the bus is going to take you an hour. As far as cost, yes, it's going to cost you more. How much more? I'm not sure. I know we've ridden the Go Taxi quite a bit in the Hakone area.
You can check either on Google Maps or like on the Go Taxi app to get an approximation of what it would cost.
All right, so we're getting really close to 2 hours here. We're just going to take a few more questions.
And if we don't get to your question during the live, you can always leave a question on any of our videos on our channel. We try our best to respond to questions that come in.
I'm planning on staying in Saitama during my next trip to Japan. Have you guys ever been there? What's the vibe like? We've spent a lot of time in Saitama. We have a lot of friends that live in Saitama. So it's very what would you say?
More
Local.
neighborhood,
Local,
like
yeah.
you'll see the kids playing their baseball games on Sundays, or, you know, we've gone with friends for like having a barbecue and hang out along the river. You know, you can do kind of see more what it's really like living in Japan
Right.
when you're in those areas.
So-
like public gardens where you just pay a few cents and you can take the vegetables from the box.
Yeah, yeah. Saitama, I mean, Saitama is a really large prefecture too, so there's a lot to see and do, and it's really very local. So if you really want to, like Heidi was saying, know what it's like how locals live and stuff, then Saitama is a great option, and much slower pace too. So
Certain time of year, do they also have like the strawberry picking?
Yeah, many places in
Winter,
Saitama
spring.
have strawberry picking too, and Saitama is also known for having really, really good green tea. So that's some place that you want to buy Saitama. You know, everybody talks about Kyoto, but Saitama might even have better tea. Yeah, I said it.
It's the other type of tea, right?
Yeah,
Not
different,
matcha.
not just
but-
well, you know, I mean, there's lots of different types of tea. So.
Is there a garbage can finder
That would
app
be a
for
good one.
Japan? I have not checked, but that is an excellent question. I think I should go look that up because, yes, public garbage cans are not common. You're not supposed to throw random trash into a trash can in a bathroom. If you buy something at a convenience store, you can like eat it right out front of the convenience store and then throw it away in that convenience store. But do just keep like a little plastic bag in your day bag to carry your trash around with you for the day. Whenever there's festivals going on, like the cherry blossom festivals, then they'll put like temporary trash cans into the park for those type of events. But we'll have to look that up and see. Is there a garbage can finder app?
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. If I buy items like a watch or phone in Japan and avail tax-free purchase, can I use them immediately after purchasing? And do we declare or list these tax-free purchases when leaving Japan?
So technically, anything that you buy tax-free, you're not supposed to consume, which is like open and use while you're in Japan. So if you're going to like Yodobashi camera, you know, they might kind of like
They're gonna seal
up the bag, and you're supposed to take it out of Japan before you use it.
And do take note that starting, I think, in October, November, they haven't really set the exact date on that. This is going to change, and you're
So-
not going to be given your tax refund until after
At the airport.
At the airport.
So
Yeah.
right now, like you can actually at the store just not pay the tax. Pretty soon, it's going to be you take your receipts and your item in its box and show it on your way out at the airport, and then get your tax refunded.
Yeah. When you purchase items like this, they're going to tell you anyways. They're going to give it. It's going to be wrapped up, and they're going to say.
There might even be like a little piece of paper, and it's like, do you understand and agree to these terms?
Right.
You know, a lot of times people are not really following it when it's smaller dollar items, but if it's expensive electronic, they might actually show you what the rules are.
We are arriving at Haneda Airport at 3 p.m. and we are meeting a driver there. How long will it take to get through immigration to meet the driver?
It can take around
depends.
an hour, a little less on a good day.
Yeah.
Again, if you're going during sakura cherry blossom season or like Golden Week, if you're going in the spring, things can be busier and it can take longer.
So you're going to arrive when it's starting to get busy, 3 p.m., 4 p.m. and on, it's going to be a really busy time. So yeah, just again, visit Japan Web ahead of time. That will definitely save you some time. And as we mentioned earlier, when we went through in January, we were out of immigration in like 15 minutes, but then it took our luggage 40 minutes at that point. So I would say at least an hour before you can go meet your driver.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I was going to skip it.
Sorry, we're not in Paris. We're actually in Thailand, so can't recommend any Japanese restaurants. Which one? This one here. Okay, sorry. Have you ever had trouble trying to find available coin lockers or luggage storage in train stations during busy season? Would like to keep small luggage stored for day trips like Nara or Hakone.
During busy season, luggage lockers can fill up. So my next video I'm working on right now is about traveling with luggage in Japan. So there's kind of an order that we do it in. First, we see, can we just leave our luggage at our hotel? So say we check out and we have somewhere to go, we might just leave our luggage at our hotel, come back to it again. Places like Hakone are very set up to deal with people's luggage. So say you arrive at Hakone Yamato Station, there is a counter there where you can then forward your luggage to your hotel in the Hakone area. So coin lockers, if you're going like absolute peak seasons, like cherry blossom season or golden week, you might want to just have a plan ahead of time of what you're going to do instead if the lockers are full.
Yeah, because they certainly can fill up.
There's also different places to look for lockers. It could be the train station you're staying at, but often I go to things like parks, and sometimes the park itself, like Shinjuku Garden or other gardens, will even have lockers within like the attraction of the garden itself. So I'll be talking a lot more in our upcoming video about forwarding your luggage, and Hakone is one place where I definitely say, like, have any larger suitcases, just bypass Hakone altogether and take really just what you need. Say if you're doing an overnight trip, just take like a weekender bag with your outfit and toiletries that you need for that short trip, and try not to bring too much luggage with you to Hakone. You can have it just go on to the next city that you'll be staying at.
Any tips on jet lag coming from the US to Japan?
One of my recent videos, I shared some tips. Our thing is we like to arrive like in the afternoon to have time to get through the airport, transportation to our accommodation, eat dinner, and then go to sleep at our normal bedtime so we can get on to Japan time. One thing, if you arrive too early in the morning, you might not be able to check into your hotel yet. You might have a really hard time just staying awake all day until bedtime. And if you take a midday nap, that can throw off your circadian rhythm and make it hard for you to transition. If you do have any chance to like get some sunshine, walk around barefoot in the grass can help. But also my tip with jet lag is if you wake up super early in the morning, to go out to the most popular tourist sites right away in the morning so you can get there at like 6 a.m. before they get crowded, to really take advantage of that jet lag.
We're thinking of going to Okinawa from Osaka in July. When is the latest I can buy plane tickets and still get a good price? We can't make up our minds about going.
July is like peak season for Okinawa because that's good weather plus possibility of typhoon, but that is the very popular time.
Peak season for sure. So it's going to be more expensive to start with. If you're planning on going in July, and you need to buy them now. The prices are not going to get any cheaper, I would say.
So we might take just a few more questions here. As always, if we don't get to your question, you can leave a question on this video once it processes and is available on our channel, or you can leave a question on any of our other videos.
All right, for better ranked eSIMs that you've listed in your past videos, how is the data speed performance on these eSIMs when you have an unlimited data plan and use it all day? Does it slow down? Great question. Yes, it can certainly slow down because there's something called a fair usage policy, and even a lot of companies will claim they don't have one. It is really up to the network provider, because these carriers that you buy them from, they don't own the network. They're all renting space from either NTT Docomo, SoftBank, Rakuten, or KDDI, right? So because of that, if these companies say, you know what, you've just used way too much data today, you've used 50 gigabytes today, I'm gonna slow you down. So yes, they can slow you down. And this now, as far as how slow it will go, that will depend on who you decide to purchase from. UBG, theirs is 1 megabits per second is the slowest that your speed will ever go, which is really good compared to the others, which usually range between 200 kilobits per second and 384 kilobits per second, which you can, you got to be thinking about dial-up speeds from the 1990s at that point, which is really, really slow. So yes, it can slow down. But you're going to have to use a lot of data, though. On these unlimited plans, they've gotten much better. You need to use a lot of data before this will happen.
I just put a link in the chat for his latest eSIM video, which was just released last week.
All right. Hi, Zotterhelm Mortal 123. My girlfriend and I are spending our 7th anniversary in Fujikawago. In Fuji... Kawaguchiko. At Ubuya Onsen. A lot of places close earlier around there. Is there any places you'd recommend visiting at night?
Most things are going to be closed in the evening, so I guess just plan to do your activities earlier. And then you said it's like an onsen, so a lot of times people just take the evening as that opportunity to relax and enjoy the onsen hot spring bath. Yeah, that's definitely the point of the whole area, is most people will be doing that, and that's one of the reasons why things do close down. There's really not a whole lot that's going to be going on. So maybe if you're having like dinner at your accommodation, enjoying the onsen, it's more like a relaxing place, right? Not nightlife center. But if you are planning to have dinner somewhere else, I'd make a reservation in advance, and then also
think about your transportation, how you're going to get back to your accommodation. You know, like maybe even book a taxi in advance or have the Go app ready.
Ah, okay. Have you been to any thrift stores? If yes, which ones are the best in Osaka and Tokyo? Any recommendations that you have to visit a thrift store? There's two main chain thrift stores that I go to a lot. One is 2nd Street, and the other is the whole Book Off chains. So there's Book Off, Hard Off, there's a lot of different ones. Where was that huge? Was it Kawasaki we just went to?
Oh, I wasn't going to tell anybody the location of that one.
Never mind. There's some like really big ones.
There's some things that really should be left for the locals. So sorry, but if you look around, yeah, look for Book Off or 2nd Street has pretty good stuff too.
And Book Off has a whole bunch of different ones. So some of them, they have more like outdoors equipment, like if you're looking for your skis and your snowboarding equipment, you know, toys at a really good price. There's the ones that are books.
Yes.
Electronics, cameras.
Yeah. And even if you just did a search on Google Maps, because there's a lot of little local ones too that, you know, that can have really good stuff too. So
if people are looking for like designer purses, leather bags, there's secondhand stores for that as well.
All right, we're getting into Haneda in early April. How easy is it to get from Terminal 1, domestic from Terminal 3? It's pretty easy, but it does take you some time. So, you know, if you have a flight like within an hour, that's really cutting it close. Just take that into consideration. But you can either take the monorail or you can take the bus.
Okay, somebody wondering about the rain and the weather. Would an umbrella be enough or heavy jacket? You don't need a heavy jacket. I usually say either an umbrella, which you can bring or buy in Japan, or a light rain jacket. Like, he doesn't like to wear the rain jacket. Me and the kids might wear a rain jacket and he'll just opt for the umbrella.
All right, just a couple more quick questions here. Hi, I'm from India. What is the weather like in March 14th to 25th? Oh, that's soon. Do we need to pack jackets or wind shears with will do?
I often say a light jacket. We usually take like a really light insulated puffy jacket, so something more than just like a windbreaker. It can get cool in the mornings, cool in the evenings as well. So I like to layer, you know, a long sleeve top, a sweater, a cardigan, and a jacket. And then if you're hot during the middle of the day, maybe take a bag with you that you can use to put your jacket in when you don't need it.
Why do you only use Go? Mainly Go, as I've said before, Go is accepted almost everywhere in Japan. Not completely everywhere, but we've used it in small villages in Niseko and Hakone, you know, places where Uber's just not going to work. So it is really the better app.
Just wide acceptance.
Wide acceptance.
Coming to Japan in April, do I need to try and book all the temples or do I just walk up and pay? I have the other things booked. Most temples you
just walk up.
Yeah. And you don't, not all of them will you even need to pay. I guess some of them there might be an admission fee. But yeah, temples, shrines, that's a thing you don't have to do any reservation in advance. It's more like if you want to go to an amusement park, a team labs, you know, indoor attraction, those are the things you can pay in advance. But temple you wouldn't need to.
I thought you were going to, oh. Lovely couple arriving in April looking at Tokyo neighborhood with reasonably priced hotels that are under 15,000 yen. I was looking around Asakusabashi, but I think I missed the early bookings.
I'm just confused because it says April. I'm like, do you mean this April? Because that would be super duper late to be booking.
Yeah.
Or do you mean
so the
next April?
Asakusabashi area, you might want to check out Kuromaya as well. And also even Asakusa area would be cheaper if you're looking for 15,000 yen or if you cross over to the Sumida side, on the other side of the Sumida River. Usually the hotels in that area can also be in that range. In one near Ryogoku Station, near Ryogoku Station, they have some reasonably priced hotels also.
And if you are talking about April a whole year from now, then it could be that you're just looking too early. And once you get more within like 6 months of your trip is when there'll be more availability on the hotels.
What is your kid's favorite snack in Japan?
My youngest even likes the little dried silvery fish you can find at Costco. They love seaweed. Man, our kids grew up with and love Japanese food in general.
So they make these freeze-dried strawberries. That's
chocolate-covered freeze-dried strawberries. But for eating for like lunch every day, they like the onigiri rice balls, or we say musubi in Hawaii. But, you know, rice with a little bit of something in it wrapped with seaweed, they'd be happy to eat that almost any day for lunch.
Hey, Kelvin, aloha. It was great seeing you at the Yokohama Hyatt. Is there Tokyo Bay Hyatt similar? We haven't stayed at that one yet, and I plan to go to Disney Sea or Land. Any recommendations? Disney Sea. Go to Disney Sea. Right?
It's unique to Japan. There's Disneylands multiple places in the world,
Yes.
but only Japan has Disney Sea, and they've really expanded it since we've been there with the whole Fantasy Springs area.
Right. The Disneyland, it needs some
Maybe
updating.
dated.
It's very dated, yeah. Okay, just a couple more questions. I know I said that already, but for reals, just a couple more questions this time. Are they still doing tax refunds at stores, or do we have to get refunds at the airport? Yes, the tax refunds at the stores are still in effect until either October or November. And let's just see how that goes, if that actually even really happens. So yes, it's in effect. All right, Any plans on going to Poke Park in Kanto? Yes, our kids would love to go there, but we do need to plan that in advance since it just opened. So yeah, maybe we'll try to go there by the summertime. We'll let you know how that goes, because we're going to have to, that's going to have to require a lot of planning. So if you're planning on going to Poke Park, please plan that in advance.
Yeah, it's really hard to get tickets, so that's why we have not yet gone.
Yeah. All right, I think we are going to wrap it up here. I just want to give another thank you to Ginkgo Seed F4H for the super chat. Thank you so much. And a lot of great comments and questions on here, and just a lot of also thank yous on our comments. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of our community. And, you know, let us know what type of information you guys want, for what type of content you guys want us to make, what's missing, you know, what's the gap out there that you can't seem to find information on. We're here to help you guys with that, because, you know, we're in Japan all the time. We're going back again in about a month and a half now.
A summer trip.
Yeah, for a summer trip, and we're trying to prove, you know, people wrong that summer is actually a good time to go. We'll see.
It's a wonderful time to go.
It's a wonderful, we love summertime in Japan.
If you know where to go and how to do it.
Right.
I did see there were some more like suitcase packing cube questions. I am working right now on a luggage video. I think we may have lost people.
Yeah, we may have just...
It might have just disappeared.
Anyways, we may have just been cut off. Our internet's not so great. So anyways,
So
thank you again, everybody. We're going to say bye, and we'll see you in the next one.